So a highly respected and award-winning journalist from Minneapolis named Liz Collin decided to investigate, because any initial investigation into George Floyd was deemed racist and radioactive. Her documentary, out today, called The Fall of Minneapolis, tells you things you haven't heard before. Remember, this was the narrative.
That we are seeing waning support for President Biden. What can you tell us about the black community and the voter out there who's watching such a divisive situation going into the 2024 election, Q?
Well, you know, everybody's different, so there's really no way to kind of put your finger on what everybody's thinking. But I know a lot of people see billions and billions of dollars going everywhere, but in the hands of, you know, the people that helped build this country. So, you know, I think that's a factor. I think you know, all politicians have to deliver, you know, no more lip service. I don't think
Britain. But it seems that every time King Charles visits the West Indies or Africa, he's got to crawl, he's got to grovel, he's got to apologise for Britain's wicked colonial past and pretend it was 100% evil. And it's the whole same story again on his visit this week to Kenya, where activists are hoping that after sorry comes reparations, free money.
The wrong force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. The idea of one race, the human race, is an idea whose time has come. We are not going to be able to stop it no matter what.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Disclaimer! Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there. You haven't.
Hey, John, what do you want us to take away from this extraordinary series of yours?
Well, I want people who are not Latin to have Latin envy and wish they had been born Latin, and for Latin people to realize, damn, being Latin is a superpower, man. I mean, the things that we've suffered in this country, 500 years, our wealth was stolen from us. We were lynched. We were burned, shot alive. We've been the only American citizens that have ever been deported by the millions. And yet we contribute and we build and we thrive.
To me, if you have been here for 5 years and you do not have a criminal record, you will be able to go on the dignity status for 7 years.
That status is like a probation period.
You will not be deported. You will not lose your assets. You can work anywhere in the country. You will pay taxes.
And there would be an additional tax.
A new levy of 1.5 withholding, called the dignity levy, will be held from your paycheck. You will not have access to any government program and will have to buy your own health insurance.
And another charge.
You will pay $700 a year for 7 years, and that adds up to around $5,000. Those $5,000 will represent around $45 billion.
This is provided that the undocumented immigrants total 10 million, but there are more.
And that fund will go to pay for border security. The other bucket of money, the 1.5, will go to re-educate or retrain any American who believes that he or she has lost his opportunity, his job opportunity, to an undocumented.
Some of the other legislators who support the bill said they are aware that it is not perfect. They said it's better than doing.
Various groups, feminist, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that, because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children, and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but that's, or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks. We done to the immigrants. We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country. Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics because they're a larger group of Hispanics now. But could I just say to Jorge, I hate to disagree with you when you're attacking President Obama, but I think the point on immigration is you can have open borders or you can have a welfare state. You cannot have both.
Great job with the heartbeats.
You late again, Eddie.
I know what you've been trying to do. You ain't gonna do it. See, Big Red done pulled my coattail to you a long, long time ago.
That's bullshit, Eddie. You talking crazy.
Crazy like a mother fox. And you, I can see through your jive ass like glass, nigga.
Eddie, you got it all wrong, man.
Stealing my moves, my style, nigga. Even trying to riff like me.
Hey, man, why don't you get your boy out of here and detox him?
You want my spot flash? Slum-dwelling, scum-sucking, slug-ass motherfucker. You want my spot flash? Huh? Well, you ain't gonna get it. Cause you ain't got it.
These kind of boys seems innocent, Boogie. Got everybody on the post thinking he's a strong black buck. White boys envy his strength, his speed, power in his swing. Then this colored champion lets those same white boys call him Shine or Sambo.
Whoa, Lord.
And he just smiles.
Dream about the time when I was a little boy.
Can't talk.
The night would get
Can barely read or write his own name. And don't care. He'll tell you they like him. Or that colored folks ain't supposed to have but so much sense.
Yes, he would.
You know the damage one ignorant Negro can do. We were in France in the First War. We'd won decorations. But the white boys had told all them French gals that we had tails. Then they found this ignorant colored soldier. Paid him to tie a tail to his ass and run around half naked making monkey sounds. They put him on a big round table in the Cafe Napoleon. Put a reed in his hand, crown on his head, blanket on his shoulders, and made him eat bananas in front of all them Frenchies. Oh, the white boys danced that night. Passed out leaflets with that boy's picture on it. Called him Moonshine, King of the Monkeys. And when we slit his throat, you know that fool asked us what he had done wrong. My daddy told me we got to turn our backs on his kind, Wilkie. Close our ranks to the chitlins, the collard greens, the cornbread style. We are men, soldiers. And I don't intend for our race to be cheated out of its place of honor and respect in this war because of fools like CJ. You watch everything he does. Everything.
You said Your people have been fighting for 400 years.
Man. Your peoples too.
So I just want you to explain what you mean by that.
You know what I'm talking about. Y'all all know what I'm talking about, man. Don't sit up here and try to bait and not know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what the I talk about when I say these things. Your people too.
Explain it. Not everybody knows what you're talking about.
Radio Raheem, I don't have to explain what's understood, man. You know what I mean by that. You know what I said by that. I ain't got to go further. And if anybody don't understand that, then God be with them. Go look up the history. Go look up the history. Don't everybody believe in Google? Go Google that. See what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what I dare you to sit up there and say, explain. You know what I'm talking about, man. He's fighting people. You know we've been fighting 400 and still fighting to this day. To this day. To this day. You just sit here, you don't know.
And since the American white man has used his control over the press to rewrite history or retell history, and since the white man can't dispute this truth, it's not hate to say that we were kidnapped and brought here, it's truth. It's not hate to say that we were Jim Crow, discriminated and segregated, it's truth. It's not hate to say that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in this country, came up with a hypocritical desegregation decision 9 years ago, which they haven't enforced yet. That's not hate, that's truth.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, Whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is We Up Report. No, it's a late Wednesday night. I know it's supposed to start at 8. End up being on that CP time with that color people time. I got it anyway, you dig? But we here. I want to thank each and every one of you here tonight on this live. And those who should catch it on the replay or later on, what's good to you. And if you just happen to be passed by, either due to the thumbnail or to the title of the show, welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I again am your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to We Up Report. What you gonna talk about tonight, Mr. Blows Your Minds? Well, or as you've seen the title over here, we're going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and put that up on the screen there for me, sir. Petitioning the Outcast Approval. Let me say that again. Petitioning the Outcast Approval. Well, what you mean by that, Mr. Blow Your Mind? Well, it looks like we are now in the political season. Well, it seems like now everybody's trying to get all their ducks in order. And the outcasts, there's an outcast in this land that the only time there seems to be any interest towards them is around about this kind of the season. Every 4 years, sometimes every 2 years, sometimes every 6 years, when people are in need, they seem to know how to be channeling symbolically and asking everybody that they think they have some kind of connection to us, trying to take a temperature to see where we at. Have we no longer participate or want to be a part of them? And then there's another thing that's also happening where I see that there is a conjuring up. Again, maybe if you are avid watching my show over here, we talked about somebody before, and I kind of talked about that, but they're doing it once again. So I said, well, maybe I kind of know what that's about, and we're going to kind of bring that out as we tie in how the outcast is, somebody's looking for the approval. And this approval is being a twofold cut. As you stay tuned and watch this tonight's show, you'll definitely see what we're talking about. I see in the house, Mr. Smith 0620 in the house. What's good, sir? The executive producer of the show. I want to put you up there on the screen, but we already got you for last time, bro. So I'm glad to see you here. Once again, we always thankful to our executive producer, Mr. 0620 in the house. What's good to you, sir? Glad to see you stop by on this Wednesday evening. I know I had said Tuesday, first it was Monday, then it was Tuesday. And matter of fact, I almost didn't come on tonight because I seen something as I was getting ready to prepare for tonight's show. Something came on that kind of irked me as I watched it, but you will know because Sunday show, I'm going to bring that what I seen tonight, because one thing for sure, I had already solved this mystery, but it seemed, like in my intro there where you see Malcolm talk about retelling history, I'm going to show you, possibly Sunday show, most likely. I'm trying to get back to that Sunday night because I know that fits more people's schedule that Sunday than that Monday. But I'm preparing, trying to get this Sunday for what I seen tonight. And I want to show y'all something again as to what Malcolm said about rewriting this history. And tonight's show, you're going to also see some things that there is a theme that is continuing to happen, because it's like there's something that doesn't happen, but maybe you weren't paying attention. But WeUpReport be sitting on the wall. So when we sit up on the wall, we come over here for those who are, like what we do over here, who contribute to the show and things like that. The cover charge is always at least a like, right? At least the cover charge, at least hit the like button, right? That's a cover charge. When you come to the club, cover charge, it ain't ladies' night. We ain't got ladies' night, but we do got the cover charge, right? So you go ahead and hit that like button for me. But anyway, the fact is, I'm going to show you some things as we go into that. And again, to show that theme, that there's some retelling history. And I want to show you tonight how that petitioning for the approval of the outcasts, which we all should know who the outcasts are, but there's approval that got a twofold cut. One, they want you to stay acclimated in it. And another thing they're trying to do is they're trying to get us to approve of the change of the history that they're making. And I'm going to show you why that is. So stay tuned as we're going to get into that. So tonight's show is going to be petitioning the outcast approval. So we're going to start off with this here. I don't know if y'all seen this. This is earlier this month. Did y'all see any of y'all see this here? King Charles acknowledges Kenya's colonial era suffering, but stops short of apologizing. Let me say that one more again. King Charles acknowledged Kenya's colonial era suffering, but stopped short of apologizing. Now, I want you to hear this conversation that these two here are talking about what they seen King Charles went over to Kenya. And I'm going to show you how that ties in back over here again, petitioning the outcast approval. Now, look at this. We'll be right back. Check this out.
Britain. And it seems that every time King Charles visits the West Indies or Africa, he's got to crawl, he's got to grovel, he's got to apologise for Britain's wicked colonial past and pretend it was 100% evil. And it's the whole same story again on his visit this week to Kenya, where activists are hoping that after sorry comes reparations, free money.
The wrongdoings of the past are a cause of the greatest sorrow and the deepest regret. There were abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence committed against Kenyans as they waged, as you said at the United Nations, a painful struggle for independence and sovereignty. And for that, there can be no excuse.
The King's slamming of British history in Kenya, the right thing to do, or is he letting Britain down a bit?
Well, it's absolutely the wrong thing to do. The King is supposed to be our envoy around the world, not going around on an international apology tour. And they're trying to spin it as the King stopped short of full frontal apology. Well, that's just a technicality. That was an apology. And Yeah, we've seen it time and time. An apology is not enough. Next comes the handout. Next comes money. But, you know, for the Kenyans, we have actually given them billions of pounds over the years. They are a member of the Commonwealth. In fact, £132 million investment in Kenya went there just a couple of years ago. And can I just say, you know, whenever we see incidents take place in this country, if we see a terror attack or something like that, we don't ever expect an entire community to apologise for the actions of one rogue individual. So why should our entire country now, and every British person living in it, and our current serving monarch, apologise for things that had nothing to do with him? Where are our reparations from the Norman conquerors or from the Viking and their ancestors, you know?
Well, listen, there are bad things we did. There's good things we did. I mean, the intertribal slaughter we helped to ameliorate. We gave you democracy, even if Kenyans don't always live up to it as they should. We gave you the gifts of the English language. We gave you the rule of law. I mean, there are many institutional things. I've been to Kenya. I look around and I think, wow, if the British hadn't been here, this place would not be quite as good as it is. Not that the Kenyans have quite lived up to the legacy they were left.
But also, if it hadn't have been us, it would have been someone else. I mean, the French were at it, the Portuguese were at it, the Spanish were at it, everyone was at it, OK? So if it wasn't the Brits that had gone in there at that particular moment in time, it would have been somebody else. And I don't see these other countries queuing up to apologise either. But it just ties into something else that's really going on in this country as well, which is, you know what kids are going to be taught in school today, don't you? That our king has gone abroad to Kenya and apologised for our past, which gives teachers another excuse to teach youngsters in this country now that Britain's past is terrible and that we were an evil force around the world. I mean, I've always said this and I always will, that the world has been very lucky to have Britain, actually, and at times it has been a gift to the world. Yes, there were historic wrongs. Yes, there have been things that have gone wrong because things were different. Times were different back then. And that's not to excuse them, but we shouldn't be apologising for those things now.
All right, so we are back, right? So that was a conversation you heard there as King Charles, right, had went into Kenya. And they had a little issue where they say, hey, wait a minute, man. You the king. You ain't supposed to be out there groveling and bowing down. And, you know, you get it so close, it looked like you trying to give a formal apology. Now, think about that, y'all. Formal apology. So you gotta know what that means, that formal apology. When somebody done you wrong and give a formal apology, you heard them say, oh, free money, reparations, right? And he went into the little litany of things. So that means that something about apology sets up the tone for, I guess, giving the lane for to be paid back, to make amends. So, apology, y'all. Think about that. Somebody can't even apologize to you because in it is an admission of guilt. So, you know, so-called King Charles went to Kenya on a 4-day visit, and it was they said they had them grappling with Britain's legacy of colonialism. Now there was mounting demands for, again, what they say, formal apologies. Okay, formal apologies is right. We're gonna talk about that, and reparations, and it was overshadowed by the tours of the former British colony. Now here they admit the fact, they say former British colonies, and that the fact if you got a colony, which means you must have colonized somebody. So if you colonize somebody, you know what I'm saying? You basically you kidnapped and robbed and ran them pockets, and you stayed there and made everybody else for it. So in itself, by admitting the fact these are former British colonies, in itself, is that not some kind of crime? Possibly, maybe not from their position the way they look at it, right? So they wanted him to avoid what happened with his son when Prince William and Catherine had went into the Caribbean. Some of y'all may know what did happen, but we'll talk about a little bit about that. So when they went over to the Caribbean, so when they went up to Jamaica, some of y'all might have known about that. We're gonna talk about that. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna talk about not that right now, but I'm gonna keep that as a note. When Prince William and Catherine went into Jamaica, matter of fact, when they went to what is that, Barbados. Then they went up there too, right? So, you know, the bridges is falling. Everybody saying, hey, they tired and want the shackles off, right? So they didn't want that to happen when King Charles went to Kenya. So they say they marred by the anti-monarchy demonstrations and the awkward meetings that they were being accosted with. So here was Kenya was having its 60th anniversary of independence from Britain, right? This is the 60th year that Kenya supposedly has gotten its independence. Now, some of us, again, we've been watching and reading these things for years, and we understand how that went, but really, is it really independence? You know, it's kind of like the same thing here when we talk about, when people say emancipation. You know, a lot of people like to say it, and there's a lot of our people who actually mentally believe that when you say slavery ended in 1865 and emancipation, but you don't know what emancipation is. And again, I've always said for those who haven't watched this over here, give me the date, time, month, and year when slavery ended. Tell me. You can't. There's nothing specific that does that. 13th Amendment, all that, whatever. Okay, that's just you. So the point there is that here it is, same thing over there. They give independence. The name, the countries in Africa saying independence. You would think that when somebody's independent, they get to run on their own. Or is there still vestiges? Are there still vestiges of that which was colonizing you? And then there's adversaries and people who are in there, you know, maybe manipulating and running, even though from paper, from appearance, from a ceremony, because actually when you think about, when they talk about reparation, when it comes to people of color, it's always symbolic. Let me say that one more again. Have you ever noticed that when it comes to dealing with people of color, that when they sit there and talk about restoration, reparation, restitution, it's always in a symbolic form. You're never fully free. Even though they use the word psychologically to tell you independent, to make you psychologically believe that, but actually in reality, why is the country still it's marred up with it can't get right? Matter of fact, you know, like in life, can't get right. It's like, yeah, these people, again, when we look at Black Americans, the Takas, Ditches, and DG Moors, all the above relevant term Black Americans that's here in this land, we the only people around the world that ain't got no, we don't have a country. We in our country, we don't run our country, but these people be the face of their country. They be the people, the politicians, they look like everybody, primarily everybody that's there, right? And they still can't get right. Why is that? Is there interference in there? Possibly, right? There's some interference up in there, right? So, but anyway, we have that, you said that here they in Kenya, they want to recognize the abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence that was committed against the Kenyans. So by saying that, think about abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence committed against the Kenyans. Are you admitting something when you say that? Are you kind of apologizing in a way? Could be taken that way, right? And so the king had said that there can't be no excuses, right? He said there can't be no excuses when it comes to this. And they would lead to his own understanding that there were wrongs and that there were lives and communities that were grievously affected. Now, this is coming out of the mouth of the king. So if you hear the king, who's supposed to have the authority, right? He's the monarch. He should have the power. And if he feels that, then there should be some kind of an exchange for your feelings of wrong and guilt to do something right. So the people in Kenya was feeling like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Because he's saying, perhaps, he says, okay, let me give some quotes to what he said. He said, none of this could change the past, but the addressing our history with honesty and openness, we can perhaps demonstrate the strength of our friendship today. And in so doing, we can, I hope, continue to build an ever closer bond for years ahead. Now, perhaps Perhaps, and I hope, we gonna move on that. You know, we got to make some amends. We got to make some things right. We can't move forward without, you know, a lot of people like to tell us here in this land, get over it. That was in the past. But boy, I swear, when we look on that TV and they start talking about that Levant and Gaza, and people will start talking about their history and what done happened to their people and all that, you don't tell them to get over nothing. Don't get down. That ain't even part of the conversation. When it comes to us, it's always get over it. Leave that alone. We don't want to talk about that no more, right? Okay, all right. So here it is over here on the continent, right? They going through that over there, right? Now, when you think about Kenya, you're talking about the Mau Mau and the freedom fighters. Now, this was originating when the country's largest ethnic, what they call the largest ethnic, the Kikuyu tribe, right? The Kikuyu tribe, when they rebelled against the British colonials, right? And so they were fighting against the Mau Mau, fighting against the British, and when they ended up declaring a state of emergency, and what they ended up doing, the British colonies did was, or the colonialists or imperialists, you want to say, they rounded up thousands of Kenyans. And after they had rounded them up, holding them in squalid conditions, subject them to horrific acts of torture, including, they said, they was castrating and sexual assault. Let me say that one more again. They declared a state of emergency when the Mau Mau decided to try to defend themselves against what the British colonialism was doing. So colonialism of Britain ended up rounding up all the Mau Maus, put them in squalid conditions, subjected them to horrific acts by torture, and they also was castrating them and sexual assaulting them. Right? Some of them say, I think that the Kenyan Human Rights Commission, they suggested it was about 100,000 of them who had been tortured, maimed, killed. And they said that period lasted about 8 years. And that's part of that history when you talk about over there in Kenya. So here was the king coming, as you heard in the video with the two individuals having the interview, they're talking about, he's groveling. He's over there. Wait a minute. You know why that is, right? The food basket, the warehouse is in Africa. You understand? And as things are happening and moving in the direction you know, you need a storehouse, warehouse where everybody wants to get their feet or some kind of hold up in Africa. And by doing so, you want to keep these kind of relationships open, correct? You want to keep those relationships open. And so you would do what's necessary, because again, you don't want to look like the monster of old. Nobody want to look like the monster of old, so we're going to petition them. We need your approval. Can we make these amends? Can we work this out, right? But the people back in Britain is looking at this as a sign of weakness, right? Remember that show? Anybody was any of y'all here? Remember they showed this? Let me show y'all this real quick. Y'all remember when I showed you this? You remember when Chuck Schumer went over to China? Is that a sign of weakness? Is that a sign of weakness? Do you see it? Is that a sign of weakness that two official, you know, of different, let's say of nations, and this one over here is doing it? They were pissed about that. You see that? You see that little hump? That was a sign of weakness. So that's how they kind of feeling about King Charles. King Charles taking himself over there. It's kind of like that's what they feel like he doing. And then he's saying the word and saying, well, wait, you're going to get free money. You're going to set it up for them to get reparations. Doing something like that. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You don't supposed to go over there no world. You don't supposed to no international tour apology. You're supposed to go over there and say, hey, I'm the king. These are my old, colonies. But don't go over there like, Harry and them did in Jamaica. Matter of fact, let's just do that. Let me go ahead, do that Jamaica business, because you may not know what happened when Harry and them. Matter of fact, let me put that up on the screen for me, sir, so people know where I'm going with this, right? So when Harry and them went over to Jamaica, but the Jamaica Prime Minister tells British Royal Island Nation wants to be independent. Let me say that one more again. Jamaica Prime Minister tells British Royal Island nation wants to be independent, right? So the prime minister, his name was Andrew Holness, right? That's his name, Andrew Holness. And he was telling that his country wanted to be independent. And they want to address the unresolved issues. So protesters was called at the United Kingdom to pay reparation for slavery. So they've been over there. Now, again, I wonder where that all started from. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're always the leader. We're the leader in a lot of things, whether people want to admit it or not. And so when we was on that 400 year that they say of the history that they tell the story of 1619, 2019 made that 400 years, and we start hearing that reverberating here in this land, you know, it went out in other places, right? It seemed that we was talking about it, so it kind of spread, and everybody else was like, yeah, well, why? We too want the same thing. So right, it done kind of spread it. So now, because of the position that everybody's in, and you know, with bricks forming and so forth, you know, they over there harvesting up and consolidating over there and keeping the continent within that bricks, right? With Brazil, Russia, what is it? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, right? And so basically Africa is going to be like the warehouse, okay? And so what they're doing is they kind of Xing somebody out. So that means that as time go on, as that bricks get more formulated and get it done, we're going to feel that backlash here, right? We're going to feel that backlash. But the point is that Jamaica will say, hey, you know what? Matter of fact, they over in Barbados did the same thing too. They were saying, hey, we don't want the Queen no more as part of our stuff, right? So they, you know, they went through that whole thing. And so that was the same thing about maybe about 4 months before that happened. They wanted to remove again the Queen from the sovereignty of the head of the state of Barbados. So they said, hey, you know how it goes. It started in one place and then another place and so on and so on. And so there's something that is slowly happening out here. Now, with all that being said, you know, what about here? What about here? Is there something happening here? Yeah, there's something happening, right? There's something happening, right? But like you said, these two dudes here, they were pissed off. Why is the king out there doing this nonsense? What are you doing? Because okay, so let me show it like this. How about this? When you're talking about a formal apology, because see, this is something we got to understand. Again, we had to get a little bit more mature about how things happen. Formal apology, in other words, is a formal settlement of the conflict between the two, we say like the perpetrators and the victim. Let me say that again. A formal apology, in other words, is the formal settlement of a conflict between the perpetrator and the victim, and particularly the imprisonment, they said the resolving violent conflicts, the knowledge. Now, check this out how they say this. The knowledge, the need for symbolic reparations. See, symbolic. No. See, it's like symbolicness when they talk about now we in this season. And we're going to get a lot of symbolic things they're trying to throw. And I'm going to show you a conversation that ended up happening and show how these little symbolisms of things, but we want tangibles, right? We want something we can use. We want something we can have some effects in our lives. We don't want no promises that they never gonna keep, right? So we want the quid pro quo package like everybody else got, right? Because matter of fact, when you think about it, a conventional wisdom says that to avoid apologies because they amount to the admission of guilt. I'm gonna say that one more again. Conventional wisdom has it that to avoid apologies because they amount to admissions of guilt, and they say they would be damaging to a defendant in court. So they don't like to apologize because once it be held up, and again, well, who's supposed to say what's right and wrong? The apology is already an admission. So what we've seen is restorative justice moving throughout the lands. Now, how they're going to come to fruition, I don't know. You know, so we're going to figure out how they're doing. So you got these uses of the word apology. Now, some can be written, some can be verbal, right? And so a way for an offender to accept responsibility when you can get them to formal apology, written apology. Then you can hold them so that they can be responsible for what they've done. Now, in this land, we've been told, and it's funny that I've done the video for those of you who are avid watchers over here. I took you back in 2009, and I showed you supposedly, and matter of fact, I even let you see part of the procession where they claim they apologized to us. Remember that in 2009? I have a message from the president. Remember that? Right? Remember that was supposed to be an apology, but there was a slickness to that, right? And whatever happened to that? One ended, and that was the end of that, right? Now you know why they don't. Because once you give that formal apology, what comes next? Just like they said there, right? It was kind of funny when he was saying, you know, without Britain, Kenya would never have democracy. They wouldn't have the English language. Matter of fact, he said, you know, if we didn't come, we don't know what y'all would be, huh? We don't know who y'all would be today if it wasn't. And if it wasn't us, it could have been Spain. It could have been the French. Right? It's funny how, you know, people can look at their side of the story, and then the other side of the story really is like, you know, sometimes you hear some of our people when they have the conversation, they be talking about, you know, what we done and we. No, this ain't French, nigga. This ain't French. What they done. Just because you put a mug in there, okay, when you was in grade school, just because a teacher went to the bathroom and let somebody be up there and watch the classroom didn't make the mug the teacher. It was just up there until they got back. So when you got the symbolicness of the individual who looked like you and made you cry, oh, we finally overcome, we crashed through the ceiling, he was just like the teacher going to the bathroom. He was just up there, right? He ain't getting nothing really out of that, right? But it was good. It did something psychologically to a lot of people. A lot of people now feel inspired all of a sudden now, and that they get to use post-race, right? Post-slavery. But is that true? Right? So let me show you something here now, right? Listen. So that's what they doing. So they over there petitioning to the Kenyans about past injuries, and they want the approval to let's move forward, because whatever their agenda is, they need to get there. But they know without making amends, you can't go forward without retribution, without repairing, right? So it's like some people want to go forward with your approval without have to do anything. So I was watching and I seen this, and be right back. Check this out.
That we are seeing waning support for President Biden. What can you tell us about the black community and the voter out there who's watching such a divisive situation going into the 2024 election, Q?
Well, you know, everybody's different, so there's really no way to kind of put your finger on what everybody's thinking. But I know a lot of people see billions and billions of dollars going everywhere, but in the hands of, you know, the people that help build this country. So, you know, I think that's a factor. I think you know, all politicians have to deliver, you know, no more lip service. I don't think people are going for that no more. People want results. And if you don't give results, then, you know, your popularity, your approval rating, all those things start to wane.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right. We've got money going to Ukraine, money going to Israel. You've got money going to young people in the form of, you know, this administration wanting to forgive their student loan debt. And yet the black community, the Hispanic communities are wondering, you know, why they can't get a leg up. What needs to happen, Q?
I think it needs to be a change in philosophy. You know, it's cool to try to help the world, but Americans need help here. If you look around, cities are struggling everywhere. People are struggling. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. It looks like it's getting worse. So, you know, I think that alarms everybody. And, you know, when people are alarmed, they want to make a change.
Yeah. Do you think that the black community is walking away from the Democrats? I know you said it's a generalization to say everybody, but do you feel a shift in temperament right now within the community?
Not really. I think, the community is overwhelmingly Democrat, and I don't know how that's going to change. I just think people really want, they want to see results.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to go for the lip service anymore. So,
okay.
And don't see the results. They looking for, by the time election come around, they may walk away. You just never know.
Mm-hmm. All right, we will leave it there. Cube, good to see you. Thanks very much. That we are seeing.
So we is back, right? So here they are, our black voters leaving Democrats behind. Well, I love to see all of a sudden now. Wait a minute, about 4 years ago, right? When it was the vote for your soul, right? The race for your soul, right? And all the so-called, right? It helped me get in and all, right? So almost 4 years ago exactly, somebody had told you that, matter of fact, I think I even got, wait a minute, remember this? Wait a minute, hold on. Y'all remember this? This is what he said, remember this?
2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it.
All right, Daddy Biden, huh? Daddy Biden say, hey, you help me get in. But you got them guys over there, they're bigger than you. You got to start learning to work with them, right? Now, wait a minute. This loyalty black folks done had with the Democratic Party for basically, well, no more than about 50 years, right? There's a history, right? But we don't even know how real that history really is unless you go talk to people in your family who are a little bit older going back. Because I'm going to talk as I go to them. Because we got to say it's some discrepancy in some of that. Because we'll get there, right? So let's look at what Q was saying as we get in there, right? So here's Ice Cube, right? They're asking Ice Cube. Now you have to ask yourself, why are they asking Ice Cube? What is the reason why would they be asking Ice Cube? Huh? Why are they asking Cube? Why is Cube the black whisperer when they want to talk about the temperature of what black people are and what's going on with them, Cube? You know why are they saying that about Cube? Y'all remember when Cube did the Black American contract, or the contract for Black America? Remember that? Remember that whole thing when he went there and he had a contract for Black America and he wanted to propose that? And, there was this kind of divide that was happening against, at least from a social media standpoint, right? Where people felt like that, him petitioning that, putting that proposal up there and saying, whoever is willing to come, we willing to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? We open for business. We ready to play the game of quid pro quo. We playing politics. So people were mad because, again, as you see in this conversation here, they saying, hey, wait a minute, Q. You kind of represent black people. And we kind of need insight. Now, you're the kind of advocate for them. You put yourself out there. We kind of see how they responded to you. So what do you think? There's a waning support for Biden. Q played it right. You know what I'm saying? He said, black folks are not a monolith, right? We're not a monolith, like, well, can you tell us about the black voters? She said there's a divisive situation there. Yeah, you know what the divisive situation is. We're sitting here and we're watching all these, as they call it, Q was saying, billions and billions and billions of dollars being passed around. Yeah, see, have you ever, or you been in a position of, you ever seen an uncle go in his pocket, pull out a lot of money and a bunch of kids, and he passing the $20 around. You ain't get yours yet. You just kind of looking, and he passing it around. And you just looking. Like, when you gonna get yours? Matter of fact, why I'm saying that? Why I'm saying that, right? For those of you who appreciate what we do over here, you know what I'm saying? I am the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Been in the business going on 12 years. That last video got up. You know what? That last video got over 100. Well, almost 130. Can you believe that? That last video got 130. But guess what? Couldn't get past 22 likes. I haven't had a 30-like video. I don't know how long. They got that shit fixed and rigged, but that's okay. But if you should feel want to do some contribution to the show, we always in need over here, because you must know that somebody like me, they ain't gonna let me work. No damn well. But anyway, right? So anyway. So let's look at this, right? So that divisive situation, we all see what it is. Everybody passing around again, the uncle passing the muffin around. You sitting there with your mouth all wide waiting for your turn, and then you don't get nothing. How that kid feel? And everybody else dancing, talking about they finna go, buy this, and that, and you didn't get nothing, right? So that's how we, as black, we looking to air all this money, all these situations where people were able to get in, come from nowhere, and able to get in nice luxury hotels, getting jobs guaranteed, homes, right? And yes, we got a lot. When you come to the percentages of people who being homeless, our people, again, Black American, touches, indigenous, Moors, all the above Black Americans in this land who come from the rebel nations of the South, East country, called down South, right? A lot of our people be out in them streets and being homeless like that, but nobody seemed to know how to find no damn money when it came to us. And then when it comes to people outside, when you talk about, let's say, foreign aid, let me show y'all. Let me let you see some of these numbers. When come to this foreign aid business, let me show y'all something here. Something you might not know. Let me show you something on the screen there, right? Look on your screen there, right? Look at that. Look at that. Look at them numbers. Look at the money they be giving out. Look at that money they giving out there. Huh? Ain't that something? That's a lot of money, ain't it? Huh? That's a lot of money for motherfucker that ain't here. Afghanistan, $4.89 billion. Israel, $3.3 billion. Jordan, $1.7 billion. Egypt, Iraq, Ethiopia, Yemen, Colombia, Nigeria, Lebanon. A lot of foreign aid. Where the domestic? Because see, there's no such thing as a category for just we being here, because see, the game in here is, well, just like you say, this is they made this an immigrant nation. Everybody in this land can pretty much say they from somewhere except for one particular group of people in here. There's a story that they tell. They tell us that they brought us on boats, came from Africa on the ships and bows of boats, by the hundreds of millions, brought us to a land, whipped us, beat us, made us work, and all that, right? But we come to find out as time and more sifting of the information has been revealing that guess what? Math ain't mathing. And so if the math ain't mathing, it must mean that there must be some lies to that, and then that there's people from other places who will argue and fight with us when we try to say that there's a possibility. Again, you can't blanket and say all of us, but there may be a majority of us, there may be more of us who are of American Indigenous people. We've always been here. We didn't come on no damn boat. And that's no knock at the Africans. That's just, high probability. And then when we start telling people we got paperwork, it's like they don't believe us. Because let me tell you, listen. I think that many people that be trying to fight you when you try to tell their ass that, you have 10, 11, 12 generations going back and make more than that. You understand? They can't fathom that, because they take the generalization of the history of the land, of the story of slaves, and then they believe that All our people have always kept being split up because, you know, they sell that on the auction block. The mother went here, the children went there, the daddy went there. Then you go to there, the same thing keep happening, repeating. So they don't believe that we know our family. Now, they the one that don't got no, they don't see, they don't have, see, because it was already established here. Everything was already established here, so the records and all that was already set up here. So when they come here, and they already got a preconceived notion of some of the things that have been skewed for them to even come here, then when they get amongst us, you get a little comfortable with us, you think you know us, but y'all don't really know us. You just know the versions and some of the hangings and some of the people but you don't know us entirely in depth and depthly, right? You don't know us like that. But they swear down they do, and they argue our ass down with it. But look, these people here, they get all this damn money. $4 million, $3 million, and here people here. But yet, when your ass come on the season, when you need that vote, here you come. Where y'all at, black folks? Can we count on you? Is it true? You really think it's turning red? That would be blasphemous if y'all was to do that. I mean, come on, we're better than that, right? Right? So again, everybody, our black voters leaving the Democratic. Well, how about this shit? Man, for neither one of you motherfuckers. How about that shit? We're not Democrat nor Republican. Why would I guess you could say independent, right? Because it's kind of funny, like being a Democrat, like you automatically in Democratic Party, right? So you assign to the party as well. And I think there's some slick shit going on when it comes to that shit too, but that's for another topic for another time. But the point I'm saying is, right, so Q is sitting here and they be in the whisper, the Negro whisper. They're like, hey, Q, yeah, we know it's a little divisive. You know, this is 2024 campaign is starting. And Q just said straight up, I can't speak for everyone. We're not a monolithic people. We're not a groupthink people. We're not a herd mentality people. We're not like-minded. We're not a stereotype. You know, that's how people do. They think we groupthink, that we all do the same. We all move the same. We all think the same. Yeah, for your benefit. That's what you be wanting us to do, it for your benefit. But we ain't here to benefit you no more. We're tired of allowing everybody else to benefit. We're tired of being the door welcome mat and letting your ass get all, and we sit there in the window watching you eat. And I think a lot of people are very apprehensive. They don't like that shit. They want to fight us. That's why they want to fight you and tell you that you're African. They want to fight you and tell you that who you ain't. And you guys, something wrong with us. Wait a minute, you in the land we in. But you use opportunity. You use all these other adjectives to try to make it something right about it. I heard a conversation the other day where a person sat there and said, well, hey, the white man run this. He don't want to allow us in. So why y'all mad at us? It's not that it's not particularly being mad at you. We, as the people in a landmass that's been occupied, right? We're prisoners of war of our own land, right? And then when you come in from running from you, because you didn't stay there, because see, we the people in the land that we didn't run. And when you get a land of all people that run a lot, that running the way to get from and not had to deal with it, you wouldn't understand us, would you? Think about what I'm saying. If you running from the situation that you couldn't deal with, how could you ever understand a person who stay in the fire and fight? We built different. We see the world different. Our values are different. So, but it's funny how y'all can be in our face, in our land, and speaking broad and bold and loud. What we not. Instead of being, shh, don't say nothing. Don't even let them know we here. Right? But they don't do that. So now the system, who, again, the big block, you need us again. Why do they really? Why are they really petition for approval? That's the real $1 billion question. Why do they really be petition us to be approving this game? Is it to keep the game going, or is it something more deeper and sinister to that? But you gotta do your due diligence on that, right? So it becoming obvious that we can see how the money has been out of proportion, disproportionately given to others, right? Than ourselves, who this country is, matter of fact, when you think about it, on all these politicians need to find a way how to figure out how to be direct those disproportionate funds towards us. Let me say that one more again. Matter of fact, let's look at it like this. These politicians gonna need to find a way how to figure out how to direct those disproportionate funds in our way. Because as Cube said, bumping y'all yums with promises and kissing babies, it ain't gonna never work again. That's over with. You know what I'm saying? You can run the game, or you know, it's like watching football. Motherfucker about to run the 48 dive, the 48 sweep. You see the formation. Okay, in the beginning of the first quarter, it ran. He got 10 on that one. Second time he ran the shit, he got about 8. Third time he ran it, okay. But now we come in the third, fourth quarter, game on the line. We see the formation. We reading it now. You can't get no yards now. You can't run that play no more, huh? Can't run that play no damn more, huh? So, no tangibles. If we don't get no tangibles, you don't have no job. If your job, let's put it this way, if politician jobs is relying upon Black Americans voting on them, your ass ain't gonna have no job. That's how we gonna start playing it. Your ass can't do what you're supposed to do, or you can't hold to your promise of what you say, you ain't got no job. Don't look here, right? But my thing is, you know, there's a lot of people that want to play this game of politician. They think that's the answer to solving our problems. It ain't the problem. It's not going to ever solve the problem, right? It's not going to solve the problem. Not the real problem that we really want. Because I'm going to show you something as to somebody who said in this land and some of the things he said. Let me show you how that goes. Okay, so now, you see all that money as Cuba saying, again, as you see on your screen, I showed you with Ukraine, Israel. And then she said about forgiving school loans, right? She talked about that forgiving school loans. You know, they just the other day talked about that. I think it's part 2 of the plan. Biden initially had put that first proposal out, if I'm not mistaken. I think he put that. I didn't put that in here, did I? Okay, I didn't put that up on there, but I'm gonna tell you about it, right? So there's a plan B for what they originally tried to do. Remember they was proposing, telling everybody they was gonna allow them to, they was gonna wipe away their student loans. Now, again, remember what I told you about when they want to give you something symbolic reparations, right? Symbolic, right? So they had to do a plan B for the student loan forgiveness. Remember, there's forgiveness they're supposed to do. But when you do the forgiveness, that's everybody, right? That's not specifically for this group. Everybody get a share. See, think about that. LGBT is a group, they can get theirs. Now, again, are there different diverse and multi people in that? Yes, there is. There's many people that's different than that. But we know the face of that, and who really get the crux of it, in the king's share. It don't be, you know. Let's say, what is it? It's more like the pink people, right? They the one that are getting all that, right? So okay, but when you talk about immigrants, who get the king's share of that, right? So the way the game is rigged is all in everybody else getting, but we still, again, sitting there waiting to get some because we don't really have a lane, because we're not an immigrant. We not that group, the LGBT, right? We don't have a specified gender group like that. So it's like we always out. So we have to find a way to amalgamate ourselves into other people's shit in order for us to get something, right? Then, you know, there's the people who say they ain't about racism. They all about what's that word again? What do they say? What do they call that shit? What do they call that shit when you don't do what's about status and social status and shit? I forgot the term of it right quick. But that shit there, right? They'll play that game. They'll play like, oh no, I'm not about race. Like, you know, I'm about my status is about the money and stuff, right? Okay, you play that game. But even in that, you got a glass ceiling in that shit too, because you can only see where you want to go. You can't always get where you want to go. Let me say that one more again. You can see where you want to go, like a glass ass ceiling, but your ass can't get there. So you use that to keep yourself, again, away, split from your own dead people. I think I talked about that last time. But as Q was saying, again, she said black and Hispanic. You know, they always use that, right? Black and Hispanic. Black and Hispanic. Now, when you say Hispanic, look at this. Let me show. Look at all the people who they would be talking about. Look at these flags of all the nations. Look at all those flags that would be covered under as Latin. So let's say if each one of those groups under that flag is here, it's Black Americans, Black Americans, and whatever number, and I'm gonna go back to that student loan thing too, right? You see all them flags there? Those are Latin countries, right? So that means if you got Argentina people up in here, Mexican people up in here, Paraguay people up in here, Venezuela people in here, Dominican people up in here, Cuban people in here, Panama people in here, Belizean people in here, right? Chile, Bolivia, Brazilian, Costa Rica, Puerto Rican, Ecuadorians, Ecuador, right? El Salvador, right? Nicaragua, Spain, and Haiti is not African. Haiti is now Latin because they understand the benefit. You understand? You thought Haiti was Africans, right? No, they said, no, we Latin. See, they can get something, see? They can get something out of that. So where do we fall in? So wait a minute. The group Black Americans that's been here from the inception, right? And all that we have been doing and what we've gone through, and then you're going to throw this in, the Black and Hispanics. You think, when you say Hispanic, you keep thinking this, that. You didn't think about all them. So that's how you keep not getting nothing, because by the time, again, you the kid with the uncle waiting for the money. Money ain't no money for you by the time it get to you, right? It's been dispersed already. It's already gone, right? Oh, we don't got no more. Sorry, come back next time, right? You've been standing in the damn line. And then you get to the point when you get to the damn line, oh, we ran out. So you didn't even think about that part. You ain't even thinking about it. And again, this ain't divisive. This ain't hate. Yeah, those who that fall upon that, you know what it is. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? You got to stop that. You know what it is, y'all. Right? So when you say Black and Hispanic, that's what you're saying. You including all those people. And then on the low, a lot of them is back there clicking that white box. They're checking the white box too. You get what I'm saying? You're playing both sides of the fence. So when people sit there and say, well, why do y'all have a problem with immigration? It's not per se the people. It's the game of it. It's undermining. Think about it. They got that little stereotype to say, well, think about it like this. Here we is right up in here. And all these people fighting, they claiming to get up in here for a better life. And here they come. And the mug is allowing to get a job when you first get here, putting you up in a hotel. You getting $2,000 in money for clothing, right? You get all this, You get all this, and they thinking in their mind, right? Think about it like this. Damn, we coming in here getting all this shit, and they here. They gotta be lazy. And let me say that one more again. Think about it. They come in here in the way that they're able to come in here and get all that funding and housing and job. They thinking, well, shit, if we came in, they doing it like that for us, how come y'all ain't did nothing? Y'all got to be lazy. See, that's the selling point. Right? They selling that shit. But they would see what it is what nobody would say. See, people want to say the stereotype, oh, they lazy, they don't want nothing. No, wait a minute. They paying you a penny to work when we know the motherfucker get $1. Why would we take the penny when we should get the $1? Now, the problem is we compete against a person who can't get a penny where he at and get a penny here. He'll take that, which means if you take the damn penny, you make it where I can't get the $1. And then you're going to set a propaganda tell me I don't want shit. You feel what I'm saying, y'all? You get what I'm saying? That's the game here, right? ain't nobody gonna say that. Everybody gonna keep this shit under wrap. Again, we is the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. Been in the business for 12 years. You ain't never heard of me. Subscribe, share, comment. You can do all that good stuff. You ain't got to. You can comment. I will hear your comment. I will put you out there if you need it. If you saying something, we don't block. We don't do none of that. Matter of fact, if you want to come on, I even allow you to come on in. I'll put this right up on the screen right there. You see that right there? I'll let you come up in here. We can get that conversation, get it going. This Wednesday night. Anyway, so again, I'm glad to see that all y'all sitting up in here and talking. So anyway, let's get back to what I'm doing here, right? So with that being said, so Hispanics, we battling with that. So yeah, when she was saying, talking about divisive situation, you damn right it's a divisive situation. And it's played by how the way the system is moving. But then you have some of my people who are cut from the same cloth like me, who from the people who've been here from the inception, who come from the people we call in the South, have generation upon generation upon generation upon generation upon generation upon generations up in here. I can go more generations than that. And so we see the trajectory. We see how it's moving. We see what it's going. But then you petitioning us and saying, what our approval? You want our approval to do what? To let you do what y'all doing? To run it in the ground? To bust our damn country? That's really what it boiled down to. That's what it's really boiling down to. But anyway, moving forward, right? So Q said a change in philosophy needs to happen. America first. Kind of like some of Donald Trump is saying, right? America first, right? Right? Q say, when you look around, you see people hurting, and y'all ain't trying to fix that. To which everyone is aware of what's going on. How y'all really playing the game, especially Democrats? So our minds are made up. Is it quid pro quo time? And she's like, well, are blacks really gonna walk away, Q? Are blacks really gonna walk away? You see, you want us to be loyal when you're not loyal. You're not even a good ass friend. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker that tried to play you, it took you a while to figure out the motherfucker playing you. And then they try to deny once you to put put the pieces together, you to figure out, you just playing a motherfucker, huh? Oh, okay, it's like that. And then when you finna sever your ties with them, that motherfucker, they pissed off because you caught they running game. And then they want to act like they ain't done nothing. Then they with a straight ass face, they gonna tell, he ain't done nothing. Why you got problems? And then you say, all right, I'm gonna forgive you. I'm gonna do this shit again. Do this shit. I guess it's like sometimes some relationships, right? Somebody I know in my life, I done did that shit before, right? Dealt with somebody shit when we was younger. My folks was the problems in. Then caught me back, catch you in between when you done just left something else and you in between and caught you on that shit. Something for me, I got back with it. And knew the hell I was gonna get when I got back with your ass. And let time go all over and then the same old shit gonna happen again. You understand? What's the saying? Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, right? Right? But how many times we done let them keep doing it? And again, they sell that. And that's the other thing too, that people love telling us. Y'all keep voting for them. Let me ask you a question. Do you get to see the numbers? You know when somebody talking about, I'm a platinum, I'm a platinum, I got a platinum, a gold record. And the number is, 100,000, 50,000, whatever it is, million, whatever it is, right? Whatever they categorize that, right? And it's like the same thing when y'all say black people keep voting for Democrats. It's assumed that you ain't seen no numbers. They keep selling that. The propaganda keeps selling that. And you keep regurgitating that shit. And other people who got this slight against black folks, you keep using that shit too. Black folks y'all Democrats keep winning. This is what you're getting there. Wait a minute. The game been rigged. Ain't no difference between when you read in history when they tell you the motherfuckers that you call it they're trying to make the Republicans, right? Okay, think about it like this. In history, when they tell you that those so-called abolitionists that came from the North, let's just run this game that they be running, right? The abolitionists of the North came down as if like, you don't think them in the North didn't invest in what you want to say, plantation and slaves? Is that what y'all want to tell us? That they was up in the North where they say there was no slavery in the North. Why would they want slavery in the North when the agriculture and the products they got to till is in the South? But that don't mean that the motherfuckers in the North wasn't the ones that was purchasing. Because matter of fact, when I did the show, remember with Charlie White, the oldest man that ever was in the United States at 134, I think he was. And remember, he even said that he said the whites in the North was the one purchasing the slaves and putting them in the South. So when they came from the North and they made that as they call them the radical Republicans, all they did is because now those in the South didn't want to do business. They wasn't sharing the wealth. They was back there dealing with the mother country. So they put the taxation on there so that they could put a tariff, make it harder for them to sell there, so that they could flow the money from what was in the South going back to the North, right? So it's the same two motherfuckers. They got the same trajectory with the same goal. But you want to believe that there's some difference between a Republican and a Democrat. You keep that, well, they're conservative. Conserving what? What they conserving? What you trying to conserve, right? You keep that, people, man. There's some people, all this education, and sometimes all that shit make your ass don't have common sense no more. You done got so immersed in all that shit that your ass only see the way that they done programmed and told you. You don't even see the game anymore. So you start saying some Republican, Democrats, as there's some goddamn difference between the two. Both the motherfuckers has been running this shit the way they've been running it with the same. It's just two different ways of how we gonna get to the end. And what was the end? What was the end? To get rid of whoever shit they took from the beginning. That's the whole. Anyway, let me move on. Right? Let me move the hell on. But take that down. Take that down for me, son. Take that down. Let me move on, right? Please saying too much, right? So again, leaving the Democrat, right? So they talk about, again, they talk about the school loans and all that. Yeah, if you're taking something away, so now he proposes Plan B with the loan forgiveness. Now check this out. Check this out, y'all. Let me show y'all something. With the Plan B, now some of a lot of kids was thinking that they were gonna get their loan forgiven, right? Because a lot of them, got degrees that can't do nothing with it, right? They just got it, but they can't do nothing really with it. So let me hold on 1 second here. Hold on. I got a little technical difficulties over here, right? A little technical difficulties. And that's how we have to do it, right? So let me show you something, right? So the new plan that Joe Biden to do with this forgive the student debt, they say it looks much different than the first one. They say it looks different than it was the first one. Now, that's for those people who were trying to get their loan forgiveness, right? But what happened was the Supreme Court had ultimately blocked Biden's policy on that first one. And that first one, when they did, was going to cancel up to $20,000 in the student debt. And it was going to be about over 10 million of them. And that was supposed to have started about in June. But guess what happened, right? Huh? But they said the Supreme Court was like, nah, you can't do that. You can't do that. So they had to go back, revise it, and try to do a delivery by relief from another way. Right? So they established what they call the Student Loan Debt Relief Committee. You know how to do the committee and stuff, right? Like HR 40, right? You got to do a committee, but a lot of people don't even understand. In order for you to get some dough, you got to have a committee, and you got to get the paperwork, and they got to come up with they got to come up with a summation of what the findings of the committee is, so they can, put it in writing, and then they vote on it, then they get it passed. So everybody who be against HR 40, you want to understand how the game plays. You just said study. We already know what it is, but you know they got to have paperwork. You know, when you go to a job and let's say you ever got a what they call that? What they used to call that? Advance. Back in the day, used to call it advance. You can't. He can. You know go. He could go now, depending on how much you getting, right? I say you know you want to get advance on your check. Say man, you know, say I got something I got to pay at least $400, $500. So let me get advance. We get paid next week, but I need it now, so I get advance. But he can't just go and cut it. He got to put that shit on the books, cut the check, so the check is gonna be kind of a receipt and so forth. You gotta have records for it, right? Same thing with Congress. How you think they gonna just cut motherfucking check for reparations and give everybody it ain't went through no process? What y'all thinking here now, right? What y'all thinking? But anyway, but the same thing here. So this committee they put together, and they were gonna do a relief that could drop. Now, what they're gonna do is they revamped it. Now instead of it gonna be the tens of millions that was supposed to get it, they're gonna cut it down to 10% of the borrowers are the only ones gonna get it now. So originally you had about 40 million Americans that was gonna benefit from it, from that the original loan forgiveness plan. But now the Plan B relief is gonna be way smaller in its reach. Now they had ruled that the original plan only covered more than 90% of the federal students, right? 90% of federal student loan borrowers. Because remember, this is federal money. So in the way this is federal jurisdiction, which as the president, he can have some say, but you know, still got to go through Congress for this to be passed. So they believe that, hey, wait a minute, man, you trying to get what? 40 million people to get a forgiveness? Like, well, no, we ain't in the business for doing that. That's too far reaching. Go back in there and rewrite that shit. Right? So they go back and they rewrite that, right? They go back and they rewrite. Now this is what they're gonna do now. So they said, can the secretary use his power to abolish $430 billion in student loans? Think about that. He was gonna try to forgive $430 billion in student loans? Really? Yeah. Okay. And that was going to be completely canceling the loan for 20 million borrowers. They said even the Supreme Court Justice Judge Robert was like, we can't believe the answer would be yes to that. Well, you know damn well, you understand, that's too much money. It's $430 billion. So they said that they were going to make it now disqualifying round. They're going to make it so now you got to qualify to get it. Because they believe if you make it more about qualifying, now it would make it more justifiable when you bring it before the courts. They might buy that, right? But if you were going to try to wipe all that $430 billion, like you better get your ass out of here with that shit. We ain't gonna do that, right? We ain't in the business for free, right? So what they did is they went back, rewrote it. So the Biden administration ended up having 5 specific groups of borrowers. Now check this out: 5 specific groups of borrowers, right? So they said that the paper issued by the U.S. Department of Education, they said 1, the borrower must with current balance greater than what they originally borrowed. So 1, in order for you to be the criteria for you to get in that now, you got to have current balance that is greater than what you originally borrowed. I mean, the interest went up so much it surpassed what you originally borrowed, right? 2 would be you entered into the repayment of the loan, and it was about 25 years or more ago. Huh? Listen how they playing this, y'all, right? You gotta have entered into the repayment, and it had to been over 25 or more years ago. So that was Gen X is back, right? Damn near, right? Okay. You had to attend a program of questionable value. Wait a minute. So that means you must got you went to school for a job or for a profession that was just wasting your damn time. Would you go to school? You went there for what? Music appreciation. Back in the day, when they played sports, nigga took music appreciation so he could pass the damn so he can play, right? Music appreciation, right? Just listening to music and looking at a magazine or some shit, right? That's a program of questionable value, right? 4 would be eligible for existing relief programs. eligible for existing relief program. I don't know what that is, right? Public service loan forgiveness, and that you haven't even applied for that yet. So somebody who's eligible for a relief program that's including the public service loan forgiveness, and then they haven't done it yet. And fifth would be you got financial hardship. Okay, so those are 5 criteria now that they're gonna end up, and then that's what's gonna happen. You hear me saying this now? Watch when they come back, when you hear that proposal for the student loan forgiveness, but you're gonna know about the 5 that they talk about. Everybody else just gonna hear they're gonna forgive the loans and gonna get your young ass to go vote. Right? That's what they're gonna pull off on you, right? All right, don't pay no attention to me, right? That's what it is, right? So they say now they're going to try to cancel the student debt loan with an executive order. That's what Biden tried to do. He tried to use the executive order to cancel the shit. And he had promised the borrowers relief within 6 weeks from the time that he did it. Fool's gold, see? Always selling the symbolic. Now here it is again, and they know they're having problems, but hear me as I say this right now. You know, those who ain't hearing this or don't know nothing about it, they're going to come back and they're going to propose this. We're going to do the student forgiveness loan. But they ain't going to tell you that the 5 criteria, they're just going to hear people saying that. And some people going to be like, I don't vote for him because I want to get my student loan debt. But you don't know all the intent. You don't know all the you don't know the verbiage of it. You don't know what they're laying down, right? So some of you might hear them tell your people, right? So, but even if they pass it, the procedure is lengthy. Even if he promised and said they could get it done, you know, it got to go through a public comment period, huh? And it would still even take a year after that, even if they were to get both the Senate and the House to vote on it. So again, get me in, and then right. So here she is proposing that. Look, Q, we could, bullshit. You know what I'm saying? No, we're not falling. Like Q said, we ain't falling for that. Black folks ain't falling for that no more. We done got a little bit more, let's say, mature. And that's what's scaring people. Just like what we see that happen over there in Gaza, over there in the Levant, and that situation. Then y'all see how so many people came out and was like, you black. What was that? What's that dude that played Remy in that damn movie? What's his name? The yo white cat that be played in what was that movie? That movie he played in when David Wayne played Delacroix. He played the president, and they was making, that he was an executive for that. Remember how he came out and said, we're going to remember that. We're going to remember you guys that come out and you, what are you talking about? What you petition us? What you need our approval for? You ain't never really worried about too much of us. It's only when they in trouble or they need you, then we a friend in need is a friend indeed. Let me say that again. Ain't that something? When people ask, don't know you no other time, ain't got nothing for it, but the minute they ask, get in trouble, or they need some damn help, black folks, a friend in need is a friend indeed. And then we just sat there, mum's the word, and everybody pissed off because we ain't say nothing. We mind our own damn business. Want us to be kept to save everybody's ass, but then when the tables turn, where are my homies? Where are my friends? Huh? Well, we ain't got no friends. Where my homies at? No, we ain't never got no homies. So we starting to learn that, okay, just us now, huh? Okay, we cool with that, right? So that's what they saying, right? They sitting there, they saying that. So it's like, okay. So I seen this too, man. I seen this woman here. Now y'all might have heard this one. I'm gonna show you. Let me show you this. Y'all see this woman here? Her name is Kathy Barnett, right? Y'all seen this? Now again, I told you they petitioning us, right? You got folks out here petitioning. Now the Democrats, right? And you got the Republicans. Now this woman, as you can see on your screen, right? She looks, right? You see what she look like, right? Right? But let me show you what she has said. Let me show you words she said. She had posted on Twitter, and I don't know. Let me show you. I hope that y'all can see this good on the screen as I lay this out. Let me see. I hope that y'all can see this. Let me show y'all this. Let me see if y'all can see this, right? Put that up on the screen, right? So this Kathy Barnett, right? She said, black people are either pretty dumb or, well, pretty dumb. It's like that time when black people sold other black people to slavery for broken pieces of glass or other trinkets. Yeah. A black person calling other black people pretty dumb or, well, pretty dumb. Huh? What kind of nigga is you? What kind of type of nigga is you? Man, we don't talk like that. Now we be saying, you know what I'm saying, but but again, some of we got that sickness, and then some of us we be trying to appease other people. What Q say, black cop showing out for the white cop. We be having that, right? And you get out here, but yeah, you went and you took that down, but guess what? I went and got it all before you got it all. Right? I got it all right. So here you is saying that, right? Black people are either pretty dumb or, well, pretty dumb. So other black people to slavery. Now, wait a minute. According to the story that what they done told us, black people was sold. The black people in this country who been here, who ain't got no, let's say, recent immigrating people, if you want to even say that, because I don't even say that. I ain't found no African in my family, and that's no diss to the African. I know what that story they try to tell us say, but I don't believe that belongs to each and every one of us. But anyway, but according to that story that they sell us and tell us, why are you talking to us about how somebody else did something else to us? And it's kind of funny how everybody understands that part of the story and then be mad at black Americans who don't want to be African or don't want to go back to Africa, right? Somebody fucked you over the first time, right? Again, fool me once, right? Right? Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. What? So I'm going to let you, blame black ops. I missed you with the shot, but I'm going to let you, I knocked the gun out your hand. I'm going to let you sit there, wait for you to pick the gun up and try to shoot me again. We but we family though. Got more ancestors in this ground that I don't know nothing about. No ancestors in the ground on the continent of Africa. That don't make me hate them. It's just that's what it is, what it is. But everybody like to play that game. They try to use the ancestors that you may find. Now, again, there's some people from 1860, like they just recently did the story again about Clotilda and the people from Africa Town. They know their ancestor is African. They came in 1860. Of course you know that. Now, what about the people who people don't come in 1860? Who don't come in 1760, who don't come in 1660. Why y'all using the African? The one African that came to go way back that we can't find nor trace, but you holding me that because you're gonna say the DNA test validates that your people come from here. Give me the family. I don't need a damn location. That's why Henry Louis Gates laughed and shit when he said that. He said, tell Oprah she thinks she's, well, you back there making shit up anyway, right? Remember he said that? He said, you're making shit up anyway. Go back there and make a Zulu. Huh? Like you could put spit in the day and somebody could tell it. Huh? But many of you will argue our ass down with that shit. You will argue our ass down. What science don't lie. Man, you know what's about that is? Science don't lie, but the people who constructed that and taught you how to get the equation, they can lie. You mean to tell me somebody can't teach you something and not tell you something and make that formula fit for the narrative that they want and then still not give you the other part to it? Is that what y'all trying to say? Y'all new fools like that? Y'all believe so much? The mother lie all the time, but he don't lie. Science don't lie. You ain't got no laboratory. You ain't got millions and billions of dollars to do the research and stuff that he been doing. I remember when the motherfuckers used to say that melanin was junk DNA. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you something. Matter of fact, Watson ain't gonna tell you that the melanin ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It has nothing to do. That one they always give credit to. What's her name? Jane Elliott. I got one at the end. If you hold around to that, you won't hear that. But Jane Elliott said some stuff. But anyway, I got a message here. Let me see this message talking about, right? Spence said, no doubt we don't, let me put you up on the screen, Spence. No doubt we don't know anything about Africa. They don't know anything about us. But people try to hold us here, and I think, let me tell you something, Spence. I think a lot of people try to hold that Africa on us because they don't want us to have, like, let's say, for instance, when the truth finally comes to the fore, and when it comes to find out that Black Americans are the so-called indigenous of this land, that means that everybody else that's here that's been infringing, you've been infringing on our shit. And you would rather to make us African so that your ass can be here and don't have no guilt. But as long as you can sell the narrative, that's why they be fighting us and telling us that, because they don't want that to be true, because then it's like, you know what y'all doing. But y'all, you know, a lot of them think they smarter than, let me tell you something, a lot of them think they smarter than us. You've been around some people that you know, that you ain't been around no real Black American. I'm one. You can come on here with that shit if you want. You can come on with it. Yeah, I'm not the younger one. I've been around a little bit now. I've been through a lot through shit, and I can articulate myself. You want to come that bullshit if you want, because that's what it is. Y'all be going at our young ones and be saying that damn shit. They're like all that shit with the hip hop and all that shit. How do y'all do that shit? Come on, man. You can't make no goddamn music and no dance if you ain't got no music to make the dance too. And guess what? We always made a dance to the music that we have. And then you come up, how you gonna come up in a land and saying you created something when the people here, the catalog is so goddamn long. It's like going into the Boston Garden and seeing all them damn championships up there. That's when you fucking with us. The championship banners all over the motherfucker, and y'all come in talking about what y'all done did, what you done made. Y'all crazy as hell. Y'all crazy as hell. That's what that shit is. Y'all crazy. Cause y'all don't got no history. Y'all don't know who the hell y'all peoples is. We can sit here and tell you grandmama name, granddaddy name, great grandmama name, great granddaddy name, great 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 great. We can do that. Can y'all do that? See, that's what I'm saying. People be thinking they know us. You don't know us. Y'all take them narratives and y'all run with it. The people that got problems with it, and reason why they don't. Stay tuned on this show. I'm gonna show you where that whole shit is coming from. Just stay tuned. I've been a little long-winded, but I'm just getting it off. But that's what it be, man. Y'all be doing that shit. And y'all do that shit openly, out front, and boldly. Instead of being mind y'all business, do y'all shit. You don't get in our face telling us, because I don't give a fuck about what you read. I don't give a fuck about what you believe. Nigga, we the people. You know how, like, everybody read that Bible? Right? Everybody read the damn Bible, and you somehow subject to put yourself in the tenets. You'll mess with the tenets. But what about who the person that book is talking about, right? Who the people in the book? When you come across the people, does it change? When you say, let's say, for instance, the people in the book be some people, and it come to find these are the people. Does it change your position? Or do you still hold on and say, oh, no, it don't matter? I'm not saying that. I'm just giving a scenario. So when you come to find out that the fake-ass story about this Native American motherfucker that you know, his ass came from a place that the DNA that y'all believe in say he came from, what is he, Mongolian. So how can he be ever indigenous? Native? Oh, he traversed his ass here. Why? Let me ask you another question. Why the hardest shit for most of y'all? When the word indigenous, if you're going to say that black people are the beginning of the world or this planet that we own, why is it that there was no indigenous people on this side of the damn world? Why you have to believe that the white man only had to bring you on a goddamn boat and bring your ass here? The only way that niggas could have been over here. Y'all sick, man. But nobody will tell y'all that shit. Most of y'all sick. You try to say you don't believe this motherfucker, but you were going to take this motherfucking shit and you ain't even thought about it. So a lot of y'all say, I don't believe in the Bible. Then how the hell did you get that Africa is the only origin of man then? You have to believe in that. And then if you believe in evolution, then I have to ask you, does everything start in one place? or when the creator made everything, he made people in every place that he created. Which one it gonna be? Because I know what y'all shit is. You trying to displace us so that you can, where you done ran from, give you a motherfucking place to put your flag on the moon. And now y'all in here just slowly stealing and taking. That's what y'all doing. But ain't nobody supposed to say nothing. Ain't nobody supposed to say nothing. What'd you say, sis, Spence? I got you. So Spence say, Africans never wanted to do anything to do with us. These Pan-Africans should just come to this conclusion. You know, remember the American Colonization Society? What about the 21st century American Colonization Society? Is that what Pan-Africanism is? You know that you had Paul Kufi did it 100 years before Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey did it too, right? Right? So who came after Marcus Garvey? Who are they pushing now? Who is it today? You get what I'm saying? Who is the American colonization worker today pushing that get us back? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. I really want to get you together, but I feel what you're saying, though, Mr. Spence. I feel what you're saying. So this woman sitting here, she's saying this as a black woman, trying to petition black folks as if I say this will make you want to be a Republican. She said the white liberals got black people again to loot and burn their own communities. Wait a minute, let's see. When you talking about loot and burn communities, when you talking about, let's say, of the 60s, when after King got killed in the fires, was that about liberals? Or was that fed up of shit tired enough? And matter of fact, when you talk about these black communities, most black people live in communities they just renting in. They don't own shit. So you say burn your own community, they just renters. Where people who are slum ass landlords don't even fix the shit. And you say black people run down the neighborhoods and shit. When the truth of the matter is, people know based on the fact that the way real estate works, that a dilapidated environment, they don't have to put no money in it because you can't bring the value up. So guess what? They always put the stigmatization on it. Black people live in areas that to bring the property value down. No, we just get your fucking hand-me-downs. Look how the game go. White folks go somewhere, right? When they flight it out, build the new suburbs with all that money that they did to build them suburbs for them, run that motherfucker down, and then slowly start renting and let you come in. And then what happens is trading places happen. You go from your area, then you start going and moving in them areas, and then they move in the area that you've been in that then ran down, and then city planners will rebuild, rejustificate your ass out of there. Then they build all this new ass shit. Now they come over, they get it for cheap. Come back in now, then you over the area that, again, you keep getting their damn hand-me-downs. You get their damn hand-me-downs. But then they want to charge the game and talk about, look, you keep tearing shit up. No, that's how you get back in. See, you're in the suburb, but now you're coming back into the cities. Now as your technology goes, you want to talk about some damn, what they call them, smart cities and shit, right? You finna they're gonna try to put themselves in, seclude themselves in these cities with all this technology, so that way when everybody, like the animals in the wild got the tag on them, so then the system be able to read that your ass ain't supposed to be there, and then the system beating, they come and get you. You ain't supposed to be over here, right? You ain't gonna be able to afford it. It's kind of like that. What was that movie? What was that movie they had? I can't think of the damn. It was a movie they had where it's kind of like Demolition Man, right? Where people living up under the sewers and out of this, right? I think Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone was in that shit, right? Wesley came into the future, being a badass, right? And dealing with the shit of the future and all that technology. Remember then him, Sandra Bullock and them were trying to have sex. They didn't do sex the old school way. They were just doing some feeling, touching shit, right? And they, it's right. There's gonna be that new shit, right? And so all of us who ain't gonna be able to make that transition to the new shit, we're gonna be the motherfuckers living in the sewers and the pockets and the crevices of the motherfucking system and shit, right? Kind of like you seeing now the migrants are starting to go in places you done got nowhere for them. So they going up in the stores, robbing, stealing to survive. And everybody, damn, they fucking, What you think? Where you think robbing, stealing, and criminality come from? It come from the fact of poverty. Motherfucker ain't got, nigga gotta eat, gotta sleep. What you think he gonna do? So you don't fix that. You don't correct the issues. You just make more damn problems. You keep compounding the problem, replacing people and bringing new people and you ain't resolved nothing. What you gonna do with all the people that displaced that the system done changed? You got the people, again, who've been in this system since. You got people who was in here when it was more manual. Then the transition from manual went into what you call technology, computerized. Them people displaced not because they can't do shit, this is because the system changed over from the education of what they had when it was entry levels, when it was factory works, when it was, truck driving, all that, and hardware working, when you did labor work. And they just really get to the age of like 60s, right? They just get in that 60 range, but they displaced. So that's what you seeing some of them out in them damn streets, and again, they allowing that damn finny, they're putting that fentanyl ass out there for their ass to be out there to get that so they can off them damn self, right? Or what y'all call delete, right? They off their damn self, right? See, you don't fix shit, you just compound and bring somebody else in and then put enough pressure on motherfuckers and make you feel like you inadequate, something wrong with you. And then you got some people out here who are sitting and say, well, people don't want shit. You're just lazy. You didn't apply your damn self. If everybody applied and everybody got the associates and the bachelors and all that shit, where would they be able to work at? Ask yourself that. If everybody did it, where would they be? Ain't enough for everybody. But y'all believe that shit. And so you have to ask yourself, what is immigration? Is it a good thing? Because people who use it tell you, yeah, I had to leave from my situation. But what about the people that don't get to leave? You compound on them. See, you give them to get out of the motherfucking situation so they don't have to deal with them by you coming in and undermining. See, Black Americans can't go nowhere to undermine no damn body. You know what I'm saying? The poor Black Americans can't get up and just go some damn place and somebody's gonna be like, I got a job for you. I got some housing for you. Ain't no place for you like that shit. No place. But everybody pounding their ass up on you though. And then everybody looking at you like you ain't shit. Ain't that something? It's crazy shit, man. It's crazy. So here's this woman petition saying this shit. Black people burning on their damn communities and all that shit and aborting their children. No. Let me ask you a question. How we get them damn preachers? Going back to the story they told us, right? How we get the preacher? Right? Well, they said off the plantation, master choose one, raise him up, teach him the Bible, and then he coming in, he learned how to do he learned how to do the talk, right? And he become the eyes and ears. It's kind of like the original COINTELPRO. They always had to have an eyes and ears, and so you got him up in there, right? So just imagine this. Now let's look at this, because when they made that 501c3, when you talking about what's his name, Lyndon B. Johnson in 1954. What are the tenets for that 501c3 for universities, churches, and non-for-profit organizations? I think, right? What's the tenets of that? The object was not to talk about politics, either for or pro, either yay or nay against a candidate. So guess what happened? So yeah, I'm gonna teach you the Bible. You're gonna be morally right, but we become watered down and dumbed down politically because we ain't getting no education. Remember, you only learn your politics when your ass was 13 years old. We got out of 8th grade, they gave you the damn Constitution test as prerequisite to get your ass in high school. So here's a grown person who have to get out of let's say grade school, go to high school, barely get out of high school. If they get out of high school, at that particular time, your ass only going to work as a labor job. You work at a factory. You worked at driving a cab. You did some, again, labor work. So where do you get your higher education politically? And matter of fact, at a certain period of time, they weren't even doing civics teaching no damn more. So now, as a grown person, you're relying on what the fuck you learned at 13 years old. And they making that. And so when people sitting here talking about, oh, black people don't, look at how you had it set up. How you got that shit set up. So ain't nobody there. The organizations that's in the neighborhood that's there to help the people can't talk politics. The athletes can't talk politics. The pastor can't talk politics. So how you think? You said, y'all keep doing the same old Democrat. Well, damn, what Lyndon B. Johnson said, he said, when he passed that Voting Rights Act of 1964, he said, I'm gonna have these niggas being Democrats for the next 200 years. You think I'm lying? Look it up. Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'm gonna have these niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Huh? But the game ain't rigged. The game ain't rigged. But yet somebody sitting here talking about y'all killing y'all babies. Well, wait a minute. The church helped them with the damn Margaret Sanger. Matter of fact, did she give Martin Luther King an award? Huh? They're talking about the most racist president in the history. I didn't see one that wasn't. Huh? Reduce police in their communities only. No, we don't. Wait a minute. You know what's funny is? Black folks say that, wait a minute. Black folks ain't anti-police. They anti-police getting their ass whooped for nothing. That's what they're anti about. They're anti getting their ass whooped by the police. So when we say, hey, Mr. Policeman, you beat motherfuckers up for no reason. We ain't talking about the criminals. We're not talking about the niggas selling drugs. We're not talking about none of that. We're talking about the civilians, the L's, right? The L7s, right? Them the people who the community talking about when they say they want some reform. And you say because they want reform that they don't want police. They want to reduce the police so that the crime could go high. Come on, man. Right? And then she said illegal aliens to their communities only. Let me say something. You know that shit in Chicago? The people didn't vote for that shit. The people didn't vote, just like what you seen that happen when they said they were going to sit there and try to make it low so they can go vote. There ain't no voting. There no voting. You see, never they get to they didn't get to the referendum so they can go do it. They did a whole bunch of song and dance and never got there. Because why? If the people would have voted, they would have voted for it. But you know, you got some people in here and they be in their little chat and they channels and they be talking this. You know, what the hell are you talking about? You always, it's like black folks always trying to find some damn way to shit on black folks. You want to make like we stupid and dumb when you don't want to admit the fact of fuck the game is rigged. Y'all never want to admit the shit that the goddamn game is rigged. So look at the next thing she say here. Oh, hold on, let me show the next thing, right? I know I've been long-winded on that, right? I don't went long-winded, but it is what it is, right? If you're new over here, help subscribe to this channel. We're the most hated show on the Black Corner YouTube. Right? On this 10:16 p.m. at night, right? So she said, listen, black people, I said what I said. I ain't taking it back. Get over your butt hurt. And let's talk about the facts. Contrary to what you've been taught, words are not violence, violence is violence. Look at how we're living, it's crazy. Okay. All right. Now, what the facts is she talking about? You know the facts she's trying to talk about? Let me show you the screen. Let me show you on the screen. Look at that on the screen, right? Take the minutes down. You see on the screen there? You know, people love throwing these numbers at us. Oh, look at you black people. You're the lowest on the totem pole. Look at it. Look at the number that you make compared to all the other nations. Well, I guess you got a pathway to economic floor. I guess you would be. I guess you would be. Now she using, I think this is from the census of 2010. She didn't do the most recent one, I don't think. But she put that up there. And as you can see on there, right, you see the numbers that they got displayed on there, and they got Black Americans at the damn very bottom, right? And that's what she's trying to say, right? She's trying to say that, we're at the very bottom of the scale, and it's a shame. Wait a minute, you've been redlined, you've been disenfranchised. I mean, why is that? I think people say that's an excuse. And my people taught me that we don't want no excuse, we just keep on moving. Okay. An excuse don't mean it ain't there. Some people y'all want to make, when somebody say something, oh, you're crying, you're bitching and moaning. But is it there? Is it real? Is it fact? It don't mean that you hark on it that your whole life. It's saying, hey, that's there, man. You can't act like that ain't there. All these people here that you see on the list on here, these nations of peoples. Again, a generation or so, let's just say people who was in 1960, who were just working poor, and what they were getting hourly. The federal government is the one that controls that minimum wage and all that shit. People was only getting $1.60. We ain't getting $2 an hour, even though the dollar was stretched a little bit more further, right? Shit, Gen X coming to there, they only making $3.35 minimum wage. Now I know they said, well, you got a real job. Yeah, by the time you got in about 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, yeah, you start making a little bit more. But again, what was you weren't getting 10 yet, depending on where you was. It kind of depends where you are in the state. Because you can see today in the South, they still got minimum wage under $7 in a lot of states in the South. So it's like, ain't nobody made no real money. Now those, again, there is a segment of our people who got the higher education and part of the system and all that. Yeah, okay, fine. Congratulations. Good for you. But it's not, but you're not the majority. That's why you can have us at that number at the damn bottom. Because the majority of our people either don't got no money or just working poor. And that other portion of the 1% or the black elite, so they want to call themselves, it ain't that many of you. It ain't that many of you. If y'all had to take all y'all money to help y'all people, you'll find y'all got what they call it nigger pennies. That's why a lot of them you can't help the way you really want to help. Because your money ain't that long. Oh shit, they're about to cut me out, boy. I looked at the right damn time. They had me on straight E. The battery's about to cut out on me. Ain't that something? Like I was looking, right? So ain't that something? So yeah, this is a stat she's using to try to say that we at the bottom and but there is a cause and effects to all that, and we would ignore that. That's not the crutch for us to lay on, but that is a fact. That's a fact. I mean, motherfucker was prohibiting you from getting a house, and a house is where a lot of motherfuckers had built there. They was able to use the equity of their house to educate their children, to start businesses and all that stuff. So when you deny people for generations of that, what's the cause and effect to that? But they don't talk about that. That's an excuse. That's just a fucking excuse, right? All right. So she goes on. I'm gonna get off this one because I gotta get to the crux of that shit. I already went 2 hours. I asked Ace Smith, I actually was gonna hold this because what I seen tonight. That's why I was late. Because I'm gonna just bring that for Sunday. I'm gonna see that solely for that on Sunday, but that's what it is. So read this last part she said here. I'm gonna show this last part. So she said Exhibit A, which is what you just seen. Black people are at the bottom of every single matrix. That measures something positive. But yeah, keep shooting the messenger and watching another generation end up at the bottom or so low that they don't even make the list any longer. Clearly, from skimming y'all comments, there are many things you don't understand. One in particular is that most people expect you to behave exactly as you're behaving. See, people, that's again, that little bougie, the bougie part of us. You worry about how other people looking at us and what they thinking about us. Yeah, I guess so. You put a motherfucker in a condition, and then you say, look at him, huh? You contributed to it. You participated, huh? You're not actually against it. Hmm? But what you want to do is you say, look at their behavior, look at how they acting and what they do. What is the cause and effects to all that? We don't deal with that. It's kind of like the law. You got positive law and you got natural law. They never deal with natural law because there's a difference between positive law or common law or positive law versus natural law. See, we as our people, we work in a natural way. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. The other law says my interpretation. Right? So we can see a situation where we know it's straight out wrong from our perspective. We say, what Kyle Rittenhouse did, we seen that shit. If it would have been any of us, we know we getting the book thrown at us. And everything that lined up that should have been used against it, just said, no, I'm taking it under my discretion. I'm going to make it the way I'm going to say it. Boom. But if it's natural law, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. They don't do natural law. So anyway, you want to say, don't shoot the messenger. Another generation end up at the bottom. Is okay, as I was saying, look at our history. Some of us come out of people who found a way through whatever endeavors they did to get to what they did, or came up with some invention they was able to keep to make the money off. Kudos to you and yours. But then you got to also remember again what they talk about, those who left from the South and going up into these cities and had to be in at a young age and then had to learn to adapt and learn that, and again, being young and still, still trying to party and live and do all that stuff. So they were not mature enough yet. So we're talking about 1910, 1940, 1940, 1970. Okay. We talking about people between the ages in the early 20s, some 30s, right? They had to live to learn, and they having children. The education ain't they learning the game, the politics, how it goes, what's being done. What about that part of the game? What we still had to learn and grow. My talking about he just letting you to vote in '64. Matter of fact, he called that the nigger bill. Y'all know that? That Lyndon Johnson called the 1964, well, he said really 1957 one was the nigger bill. Matter of fact, that's why he couldn't run the second time, is because he did that, and white folks didn't forgive him for that. All right, okay. All right, okay. And then you worried about how people behave and look at us. We're loud, volatile, aggressive, destructive. Yeah, those are the words they be using when they be using on us, don't they? Use their words to say, well, you're an angry black man. Am I angry? Or that's a deflective tactic so that you don't have to deal with what I'm talking about because you say you feel guilty, right? That kind of shit. But anyway, so it is as a black woman, you sitting here, you saying something like that, right? Okay. You're a Republican, so it makes it better. So if you as a Republican is black and you talking like that, then what the other one's talking like, if you like that, right? Now look at the other party, what it's doing in our face. So we ain't no side to play on. Ain't no side to play on. It's the same as game. It's like the bird with two wings. It's all going in the same direction. You can't separate the right wing from the left wing. The bird going in the direction wherever it's planning on going. So we can keep telling ourselves that shit if we want. Truth is, that's just what it is. Now, move on. Let's now. I know y'all heard of this, but now this is what the part where I'm gonna get you, because I want to show y'all something that you might not have seen. Let's
Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. All right, so let me show y'all this. Some of y'all seen this already. You probably know what it is. Check this. I'll be right back.
Overnight, Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd, attacked in a federal prison, and he was seriously injured. ABC's Jacqueline Lee has more on this story. Good morning, Jacqueline.
Hey, Gio, good morning. George Floyd's death obviously rocked the country in 2020, sparking nationwide protests about police brutality and race relations. And now sources say the man at the center of it all, found guilty of murdering Floyd, is in the hospital. This morning, sources tell ABC News Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd by kneeling on his neck, sparking massive civil rights protests, is now in the hospital with serious injuries after getting stabbed by another inmate.
The court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months.
47-year-old Chauvin is serving out his 21-year federal sentence for violating Floyd's civil rights and a 22-and-a-half-year state sentence for second-degree murder at this medium-security federal correctional facility in Tucson, Arizona. Back in August, officials moved him there from this maximum-security Minnesota state prison, where he was mainly kept in solitary confinement largely for his own protection. The Bureau of Prisons only revealing an incarcerated individual was assaulted at the Federal Correctional Institution, Tucson, yesterday. In a recent documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis, Chauvin spoke to the media for the first time, calling the trial and sentencing a sham, claiming his use of his knee on Floyd's neck was part of his police training manual.
In fact, I'm looking at it right now. 5-316, maximal restraint technique, right in their written policy manual.
And sources say Chauvin is, as of now, in stable condition and is expected to survive, but we have not heard back from his attorney or the...
We're back. We back. I got a message here. Mr. Spence said that Lyndon B. Johnson was the last president to do anything for our people, believe it or not. Yeah, he was. Well, I guess if you want to say he did something, but like I said, when you get into the nuts and bolts of that, Spence, you'll see that he as I said, those words that I used, those were not my words. I was quoting what he said. Matter of fact, let me tell you a couple other things he's quoted for saying. You can actually go look him up. And I'm not saying that he didn't do it, but I think his motivation for doing it is, like I said, he's quoted as saying that he would have us, but he didn't say us, he said those niggas, vote Democrat for the next 200 years, right? Lyndon Johnson is reported to say that Civil Rights Acts of 1957 as the nigger bill. He supposedly also said, when appointed Thurgood Marshall, he said, son, when I appoint a nigger to the court, I want everybody to know he's a nigger. You can look up historian Doris Kern Goodwin. She said to LBJ, when he's talking about voting Democrat, said these Negroes, they're getting pretty uppity these days. They're a problem for us since they got something now they never had before. The political pull, back up their uppityness. Now we got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference. For if we don't move at all, then their allies will line up against us and there'll be no way of stopping them. We'll lose the filibuster and there'll be no way of putting a break on all the sorts of wild legislation. It'll be like Reconstruction all over again. Okay? I get what you're saying, but he had a motive for what he did when it came to that. And so I'm just saying, can somebody who look at you in a bad way still do something good? Well, good books say that even the devil or evil people still do they still do good for their own, right? So there can be some good even in people who are evil, but it's just the fact that a person that kind of feel and think that way. Matter of fact, he was from Texas, and you talking about them times. So, it's kind of like Biden. Biden used to kick it with what's his name? He eulogized what was his name? What's his name? Strom Thurmond, that's his name. Yeah. He eulogized Strom Thurmond. You know how Strom Thurmond was, right? So, as that woman, Kathy Burnett, said, she said that, we elected the most racist president in the history. And I'm like, which, any, many, mighty, mo, which one you want to say was? I mean, we can't really regulate who is the worst or the racist. Now, did they have that sentiment or not? Most likely probably did. But as you said, is the one who did something good for us? Yeah, you say civil rights, but really ask yourself, okay, you got civil rights that he did, right? Now check this out, Smith. 1965, they do 64, they do the voting right. 65, civil rights. 65, they also do immigration. Yeah, they did good. Yeah, they sure did. Yes, they did. It's like right when you deal with us, you open the back door and say, y'all come on in too. So that we never got a chance to really get a chance to benefit, because you always made it more with competition. You brought people in to make them compete with us so that we would never get a good floor, so that we could be in the situation they put us in, or the position that many of us going to fall in, is because we never got a good chance to get, because the civil rights, those who garnered, let's say, those who got some political jobs, some of them got some government jobs and thought that that was sufficient enough that the fight was over and went back to sleep. Matter of fact, most of the legislation that we still talk about today is the stuff that Lyndon B. Johnson did. Like you said, the last one that did something good, you're right. Because everything that we talk about today, civil rights and all that, that came from Lyndon B. Johnson. So then they talked about what's that, benign neglect policy. To get away, they said no more racialness in this country. We're gonna make a benign neglect, so that we're never gonna talk about that. Yet you ain't did nothing to repair nothing. And so when people be talking, they talk to us crazy. Like, you don't understand how this game been going. So I agree with you about that, but I'm just saying he also was the other side to that, right? So let me put this up on the screen. So he said he got those laws passed, something Kennedy wouldn't do. I'm not saying he was good president, but what little rights we have, he passed. Again, I agree. I agree with you, Spence. I agree 100% with you on that, because Kennedy didn't get to live to, not saying he would have done it. He didn't get to live it. Matter of fact, that you mentioned it about that. Matter of fact, you see the way they propagandizing JFK Jr., Bobby Jr., and then they using the name Bobby Kennedy because they trying to what? They're trying to petition to get us to stay. Because you have some of us are saying, well, some of them finna go red. Some of them say we finna pull out. So they ain't finna pull him in to try to keep us in. Just like Cornel West is staying in there, right? He ain't pulled out yet. So you have to ask yourself, what's all that about? They stand there so they can pull us in, right? Because the game, as I'm going to show as we go on, what this thing is, like what we just seen here with the this Derek Chauvin. What is this about? Why is George Floyd name keep coming up? Why does it keep coming up? This is the question. Why does it keep coming up? There's a reason for that, right? There's something about that. So let me get to that. But you're right. I agree with you. He did do that. Matter of fact, there's a show that I did. I don't know, was you a subscriber at that time, where I showed the event when he signed the legislation and when he gave the pen to Martin Luther King and how he gave it to him and the way he gave it to Martin Luther King and his face expression he had. Because let me tell you something that you might know, Spence. You know that they were actually doing that, not so much to do right. Remember what Malcolm was doing. Remember Malcolm was about to take the petition to the UN for against humanity, right? Remember what was his name? Paul Robeson petitioned back with Patterson. Remember they was petitioning the UN about genocide, and then here was Malcolm coming back in 60. They were going to do it in 65, so they had to hurry and get rid of him. So Malcolm was about to petition to the UN because I think was it Nkrumah? One of them was going to be the president of the UN. I think the Africans was going to be the president at the time, and they had made some stipulation with him and Malcolm. With Martin and Malcolm, if they would unify, then they could take a position for it. So supposedly they were setting that all up. So to circumnavigate that, they passed that Civil Rights Act. You understand? To undermine that. And then they knew what was going to end up happening with Malcolm, and that wasn't going to never fruition. Because matter of fact, they knocked all of them out. Man, they knocked all of them that was tied with Malcolm in them out, right? So I got another message. Hold on. I got another message. Okay. Oh, you remember that show? Okay, right. So yeah, I was showing that because you look on Martin's face, he was looking like, damn, that's how you gonna do me? It's because they didn't do it for him. They do it to, again, what Malcolm was pushing. Malcolm always had the right idea about what really needed to be done, is because, as I'm going to show you, why they conjuring up George Floyd. I'm going to show you the same thing I'm telling you about that. I'm going to show you why you keep seeing George Floyd's name. Just hold on one second, bro. I'm going to show it to you, right? So again, we heard that Derek Chauvin got stabbed up in prison. According to the reports, they say that it was by an inmate. He got seriously injured. Was probably in a federal prison in Arizona. And according to the person that's supposed to told the Associated Press, was a person who was familiar with the matter. They never disclosed who their source was. And they said that this was a medium security prison, and that this prison has been plagued by security lapses and staff shortages. So they're going to use that as what ended up happening, because they had security issues and they had staffing issues. And that whoever was it that in breaking this story was not authorized to publicly discuss this. And they ended up telling them, and he said supposedly they're using his anonymity to not disclose who it was. So again, we don't really know, right? Because we didn't see nobody. We hear the stories of what's being said. But what I want to show you in this is, I want to show y'all something, right? So again, he was stabbed up by another inmate. And what else they say? They say also that they talk about no employees, and the FBI had been notified that this prison holds about 380 inmates. And according to this, it had been the second high-profile attack on federal prisoners in the last 5 months. They talk about that Larry Nassar, who he got stabbed up by an inmate too. They talk about him, right? So now, let me show you something here. All right, so we hear that's what happened supposed with him. But just recently, remember just about maybe less than a week before that happened, remember this? I remember this. Hold on, let me take Smith down. Right? Remember, he just got rejected by the Supreme Court. Huh? Everybody remember that? Just not even a week before. he got rejected by the Supreme Court. Coincidence? Maybe. No. Just by chance, huh? All right, okay. So he got rejected, and the Supreme Court has said, now let me tell you what he went in there for. Now I want you to hear this because something I'm going to show you right after this. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I got some technical difficulties on my end here. I got some technical difficulty. Hold on. Okay. You got it right there? Yeah, okay. Good now. Okay. Now, accordingly, when he went into the Supreme Court, what he was petitioning the court to appeal his case, according to what they had wrote in their report, they said that they had rejected his conviction appeal of the second-degree murder in the sense that he got for 20 years in prison, and that his defense request was that he was denied a fair trial in 2021, and that because of the prejudice in the pretrial due to publicity. Okay, so one of the reasons he said he was denied a fair trial. Think about it like this: that case went global, international. I don't know where he could have went to had if he thought that he didn't get a fair trial. Now, I don't know what he mean by the fair trial. And he said prejudice because of the pretrial due to publicity. The publicity was everywhere. There's no way he could have probably had the case. Now, again, could you take that case and put it in a area that would be predominantly of his own constituents, people like himself? And could he have got a different outcome? I mean, they did it in the past, right? And I'm not saying they're not doing it now, but that was what he was saying. And then his other part was that he argued that there was juror misconduct. And what he was saying that the juror's best interest to find him guilty to avoid threats of violence from the public. So that's what he was saying in this, right? That the jurors were pressured to do what they do, and that he didn't get a fair trial. And so the court just said they rejected it, and then they didn't even have any comment on the decision that they refused. Now you got to look at it like this. Based on what we all seen, what happened on that May 25th, 2020, when we seen that video, the optics of it in itself convicted you, right? What we seen in that video and what was displayed, there's no defense for that. But they're actually trying to defend this. And I'm going to show y'all something. They're actually trying to, remember the last show I told you that somebody had this, there was a case that they went and talked about. Remember in that show that this woman who was suing her employee who was the one that did the autopsy, and she was relaying a conversation that she had about that. And then remember they brought that conversation out. Remember I showed you the individuals that was talking about that, right? Here they is again. They got another person that you kind of heard a little bit. They got another person who said, well, they're making a documentary on the fall of Minneapolis, right? You heard that in there, right? The fall of Minneapolis. So I'm going to show you what that's about, right? I'm going to show you what that's about. So, yeah, can you imagine that he thinking that he could get a fair trial? There's no way he could have got a fair trial. And like I said, imagine that, man. You got 3 people holding you down. You got no hands. You're not on your feet. 1 on your neck, 2 holding your legs. And what you about to see about the stuff that they finna lay out, because again, they get that documentary. Now I'm gonna show you some stuff that they talking about that. And I'll get more in depth about that. But let's look at that. Yeah, somebody left. I know you don't want to hear that part. A lot of people don't want to, because I remember there were people, black people in here saying that it was a hoax. It wasn't real. There was a lot of people in here saying that. They were making that up. Like, okay, okay. All that took place, that's what they wanted. I know they talking about George Soros, and I know they talking about all that. Really? Y'all really think they did? Really? Okay. All right. Anyway, so let me show y'all something here. There's no way, because this is, now, you heard in that story where they sitting there, they saying that he was talking about that training. Okay? Keep that in mind. Now, in that part of this story, they saying the training. Okay? They're focusing on what he did, and let me show y'all. All right, let me show y'all something. All right, let's see this here. All right, so they show here. They show he's in the car. Okay, incarcerated. So they just saying this is the thing that gave proof to whether that took place or not. But like I said, the ironicness of the situation was he just had the Supreme Court less than a week before rejected. So now he end up, this happens to him. Okay. Then they got a documentary coming out. Okay. Peter Smitty's. Okay. Remember they're going to talk about, because remember he said in this little clip that they talk about this, they call it MRT training, right? The MRT training. That's that restraint training, right? That they teach them to do this, right? He showed you, he talked about in the manual, right? He said the manual of, their manual and the training they got to do this. He's saying, he want to say, well, they trained us to do that, right? So let me show you again, Jesse Waters. He gonna talk about this. Be right back. Check this out. Listen to this.
2020 and the virus had shut down the country, but it wasn't politicians who opened it back up. George Floyd did. His death on May 25th, 2020, unofficially ended the lockdowns, bringing millions of protesters out of quarantine and onto the streets. But the George Floyd story is very different depending on who you talk to. He was arrested by Minneapolis police after a convenience store said he used counterfeit money. 15 minutes later, he was on the ground screaming he couldn't breathe, and then he was unconscious. America was consumed with anger and violence. Over 24 people died. Fires were set, squad cars destroyed, businesses looted. Rioters caused nearly $2 billion in damage. Police departments across the country were defunded. The police, the people, demoralized. This triggered a national crime wave, a pressure campaign to force critical race theory into schools, and a corporate shakedown that resulted in a massive transfer of wealth. So a highly respected and award-winning journalist from Minneapolis named Liz Collin decided to investigate, because any initial investigation into George Floyd was deemed racist and radioactive. Her documentary, out today, called The Fall of Minneapolis, tells you things you haven't heard before. Remember, this was the narrative.
George Floyd was a healthy young man.
But the medical examiner, Dr. Andrew Baker, found that he had two separate and very serious heart conditions. One artery was almost completely blocked. And Floyd had lethal traces of fentanyl in his system, on top of COVID-19. The medical examiner continued, quote, "If he were found dead at home alone and no other apparent causes, this could be acceptable to call an OD."
You want something right now?
No, nothing. Because you act erratic.
If George Floyd would have told the truth about fentanyl and methamphetamine, could that have helped to save his life?
Yes. Yes, it could have. That's proven by what happened the year before when he was arrested by Minneapolis police and he was putting tablets in his mouth.
So wait a second. Did you know that George Floyd had a similar interaction with police just
All right. So we back, right? So that was Jesse Waters, and then they talking about George Floyd death, change America. And you heard as he laid out what he said in there, right? He's talking about how that unofficially that the liquid blanket 19, for those who don't know what the liquid blanket 19 is, that's what we went through in 2020, right? Liquid blanket would be what they talk about in the American history when they said how they got rid of the indigenous Americans. They gave them a blanket. Well, that's kind of the same thing that happened in 2020. It was a liquid blanket this time, right? So anyway, so it was the situation that happened in May 25th, 2020, when that video went viral and everybody seen it, being Memorial Day, and everybody who's seen that, and the reaction that ended up happening. That what broke the quarantine of the liquid blanket, where people was like, what we had been, told as to stay away from people, keep your mouth covered, right? Possibility, especially if you being melanated people, that you the one high propensity of you can get it and all that, right? But when we all seen that video, and the feeling that a lot of people had and the fed upness, because a lot of people can relate to the fact of not so much of what Floyd dying, but interaction with police and having people and their families and so forth, and Black people was just the history in itself. And so you see that there was this reaction that happened, right? So he, as you heard him speak, he's blaming that it's George Floyd that did this. He did this. He caused this. Not what happened to him. No. That ain't what happened to him. It's he created all this, right? And then look how they're gonna make this spin in this, right? Now look how they watch how they're gonna do the spin in this, right? So, there's a lot of people who want to say that George Floyd didn't die because of somebody being on his neck. Now that ain't what killed him. That ain't what killed him. He was dead because he had so much in his system that's what really it was. Okay. And so you see them try to present some kind of documentation. Let me show what he showed, right? So he showed you this, right? Let me see if I can get this up here. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. I don't got the other one. Oh shit, hold on. You can see on your screen there, right? That's the first one he showed. Let me 1 second, y'all. My side here. That's a technical difficulty on my side. So according to it says on the screen there, let me give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second, because I got some technical difficulties on my end. Now, Spence, what I'm saying here, I'm going to show you because there's a reason why they keep bringing this up. Because what happened in 2020 with George Floyd, not also did it break unofficially the liquid blanket, let's say, quarantine that was put on the country. Some other things took place. And are still having its implications right now. And so you're going to see, as I was coming on tonight, I was watching this documentary that somebody put together, and they're trying to rewrite the history to make it look like the things that, let's say, that Black Lives Matter was standing for, that a lot of those cases were hoax. That's what they're, and I'm sitting here like, this is ridiculous. Give me 1 second. It's popping up on my end here. This, I think I got it now. So there's some concerted effort by some people, look like, who are trying to change the narrative of what we all seen and know to be more about, no, this is what it really happened. This, not what you've seen or what you thought, but this is what really happened. So give me 1 quick second here. I got it right here. Let me pull this up. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Where is that at? Okay, I think I got it right here. Where's that one? Let's go that one. Is that the one? No, that ain't it. Oh, this one. Okay. All right. So you kind of see it on your screen there. Again, my end here, I'm having a little technical difficulty. There you go. There you go. All right. So as you see on your screen, it says most cases of untreated hypertension can put you at risk for death, right? Hypertension, right? And then it says certain intoxicants can exacerbate and increase the risk of death. Fentanyl at 11 nanograms milliliters, NG is nanograms milliliters. This have been certified with levels of 3. If he were found dead at home and alone and no other apparent causes, this would be acceptable to call an OD. Now, who would be writing that? Why would you be writing that part? If he would have been at home, and why would you be writing that? If you're doing the autopsy report and this is the report you write, ain't no need for you talking about some woulda, coulda, if, fifth. You know how we say that, woulda, coulda, if, fifth, we all be drunk. If was a fifth, we be drunk, right? You know how we say, if was a fifth, we be drunk. So, no, you don't get to write if was a fifth. But why would you put that on there, right? So, hypertension. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of us, under the stress and under the symptoms and under the unforeseen things that that based on the communities and areas where we shop and where we eat and the water we drink, and you know, these walking on eggshells to maintain and keep your job and work, being on YouTube for 12 damn years, and you can't make business on here, huh? They're not gonna let you make no business on there, because nobody wants to agree, or they say you can't. We're gonna keep you way at the damn bottom, right? So you can't make no money. So what kind of hypertension you creating on me when you put me under them kind of strains? So I guess it's possible. He had hypertension. A lot of black people had hypertension. There's a high blood pressure, right? Okay. Intoxicants. Well, it was Memorial Day. Let me tell you something. The origin of Memorial Day didn't come from them. It came from us. It was our people, those black, Tachinas, Moors, Indigenous Americans, Aboriginals, when they had our people were fighting in the wars and they had them in them mass graves. Memorial Day come from the fact that we went to go get our people and made processions and parades, bringing them back and giving them a better and a perfect and a good burial. And they, again, as always, what they call it, appropriation, right? Somebody else's culture and taking it for their own. And now we call it Memorial Day. So it's ironic that on May 25th, 2020, that day and when that happened, and mama, what you think we do? What is the tradition that some of us do? We don't sell. Okay, what we do, get with our family. We're going to do some cooking. Somebody might got a bag of bud. You understand? Or whatever the favorite choices of. Get with cuz, fam. You understand? So, under that circumstance, could he have some intoxicant in him? It's possible. It's Memorial Day, right? It's possible. But let's watch how they do this, y'all. Let's watch how they do this, right? Now, you said intoxicants can exacerbate and increase the risk of death. Okay, being under the influence, you say can increase the time. Okay, increase it. So that tell us, oh, is that why you keep all them damn liquor stores in black communities? You got hypertension and you're exasperating it because why? Oh, you put that intoxicant, make that liquor. Remember the dollar 40 ounce? When we had some called Big Bear, right? $1.39. You know what I'm saying? Then you had the Mickeys, you had the Red Bull, right? And we came the 40 generation. I don't know about now. We had the 40s. Shit. Go give me a 40. Right? And then we found out about that malt liquor and what it was doing, right? So we know, exasperating right on the situation. And so the fentanyl, right? They said he had 11 nanograms. I went and did look at what all that nanograms and the measurements, and I went and looked at all that stuff. Okay, all right. We're going to get into that, right? And so now the part here is if he was found dead at home alone and no other apparent causes, but you can't say woulda, coulda, if. It was under the circumstance of what happened. You don't get woulda, coulda, if. The apparent causes was one man on his neck, two men on his legs, handcuffed. And if anybody grew up and did some kind of martial arts and talk about pressure points, you know, they say if you lay, they even got, they say if you lay on a spot long enough, right? They say 9 minutes, 25 seconds or something like, or 25, it was 9 minutes. Yeah, let somebody lay on your shit. Put it, let's say, play with a kid. You know what I'm saying? A little kid. Let you be tired of a little kid who he gonna know how to regulate his strength and let him choke you. He might put your ass to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he might get it, hold it long enough in a position that you can't do nothing but try to move just your head. He might put your ass to sleep. Your hands tied and they hold your feet down. You know what I'm saying? That's possible, right? But the causes, when you want to say, is because of the drugs in the system. Okay, just like alcohol. Alcohol don't register the same in my body. Let's say if you 6'6", 230 versus somebody who 5'7", 120, I might can hold more liquor than you. So you may take 2 to register whatever 0.6 or whatever they did, and it may take me 3 or 4. Now, if you drinking natty ice, I don't give a fuck who you is, right? If you drinking that natty ice or what's that other shit, that shit will light your ass up. It won't make no damn difference, right? Yeah, don't drink that natural ice, boy. Yeah, on a hot ass day, that cheap ass liquor, tear your ass off. But anyway, right? So you saying again content, you are saying because of a number that you're throwing out there, and again, and people don't really know when you talk about nanograms and 11 and so forth. We don't really know. We just know that's a number which you putting on a paper. We don't understand what that is. We understand that when you say fentanyl, that it's 40 times higher than morphine and stuff like that. We get all that, the euphoria and all that. We get all that. But that don't necessarily mean that's what he died of. You can't take away. See, the problem is everybody want to take away what we saw. You want to say that what he had in him created it. And what y'all trying to propose under the circumstance that he should have been OD and dead. Now, wait a minute. There were 2 other people that was with him. Now, wait a minute. You know, black people are a little scary when it comes, you know, under certain circumstances, right? We ain't gonna let a partner who tore up like that drive us in the car. We going to the store and he tore up like that, and he supposed to drive. Who gonna get in the car with him? You understand? Now, if you see my videos again, I did the videos on the day that my videos was done on May 25th, 2020, and I only got 300 views. They cut it off. I did the whole series. I was showing stuff that they were nobody showing. You go back and see them right now, they there. That's showing when they pulled him out the car. You see him come out the car. They said that ain't what they did it originally and so forth. And then the question becomes this. Any of y'all been pulled over before and ever had to get pulled over and get arrested, put the cuffs on? Now, what car do they put you in? The car behind the car. Am I right? Why did they take him from the car, walk him across the street to other cars that was on the other block when you had the cars that was right behind them? Let me say that one more again. Make that make sense to me. You pulled up behind him, pulled him out the car, him and the passengers, handcuffed him, and walk him not to the car behind him, but you walked him all the way to the other side across a 4-lane street to the middle of the other block to another car, and the whole ordeal takes place over there. Did you hear that one say, if he would have told them that that they would have, wait a minute. Ed Gardner said, I can't breathe. Then he didn't take the choke off. He didn't slow the choke up. He held it even tighter. And Ed Gardner died, trying to tell him, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Well, you know how they go back into the medical association. We can tolerate, our pain tolerance is so damn high, they don't believe us. Ask women who have babies that be in a hospital and they be asking for pain and they don't give them because they say, oh, you just want some drugs. So she will say, if you would have told us, they would have just, no, yeah, to you, maybe. It don't work with everybody else. But anyway, so they showed that, right? So let me show the other part they showed, right? Hold on, take that off there. Hold that up. If there's nobody gonna come, they're gonna do it. If not, it ain't gonna work, right? Take that down for me, sir. Thank you. Yeah, you can hit that one. You can do that, right? Okay. So hold on, put this one up. So then they showed this. Hold on. Then they showed this one, right? Right? They showing again the morphine. They had methamphetamine, so that means he had meth in the system. He had fentanyl in his system. Okay, so he had them both. Now, when I did my research, they were saying something about inactive. I was like, inactive? What do you mean by inactive? Inactive. Okay, so they're saying there's a fentanyl that's inactive, meaning it was in the system, but it wasn't active. So I'm thinking, was it old like he had done? Because I even looked to say, how long does fentanyl sit in a system that would be detectable, right? So I did my research on that and stuff and looked up stuff like that. So I was like, okay, all right. So they had something that said inactive. So I'm like, well, okay, what do you mean inactive? So there's some part of the fentanyl that was inactive or went dormant, or is it another way to say it had been done before, right? So the reason why I'm saying is because they want to use this to justify that what we saw that happen, it's not what really did it. It's not what really did it. Okay. Then this is what they said on the report. I'll take that down because that's blocking that. Take that down. All right. So then they say no physical evidence suggesting Mr. Floyd died of asphyxiation. What's the physical evidence? Like a rope around somebody's neck, right? Is that what you're trying to say? Like a rope around somebody's neck, handprint around somebody's neck, bruising around his neck, right? So what do you mean by no physical evidence suggesting, right? Suggesting asphyxiation. Again, if somebody is on you, on your neck, on your neck, putting pressure, show that position again. Show what they talking about. Somebody on your neck with that position. Put that on, yeah, put that on the MRT training, right? On your neck, like that, right? Now the way they doing it, that's not okay. Look how that is. That ain't how that was. That wasn't how that was. It was different. And he was grinding it. Had his hands in his pockets, right? You can't tell how much torque he's putting in the grind in the neck. We hear the response, we hear the cry, and then you know what really showed there was something wrong? Y'all remember when he pissed on himself, when the piss came from the middle, came to the back. What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? You're losing your body functioning. That's death, right? Everybody want to try to tell us what we see. You want to talk about some other stuff, right? Everybody want to talk about this other stuff here. You want to talk about the drugs and that. Okay, coincidence. He should happen to had that in his system and so forth. But based on what took place, you can't use that to justify what like that. Somebody on the damn neck holding. You can't. There's no defense. That's why the Supreme Court was like, hey, man, ain't no defense for none of that. So now look at how they're gonna turn this narrative, y'all. They're trying to get a narrative to say, you know what? It's not true. Listen what they say. Now remember, the woman name is Liz Collins, who's I think she was a news anchor possibly, who's now turned and did a documentary on the fall of Minneapolis. And then you hear them finna suggest that George Floyd had the same identical situation a year before, and they're gonna recall this of what took place. Watch this. Be right back.
How was George Floyd acting during that arrest in 2019?
Everything was almost identical. I mean, the initial stop, when I first started to approach him, you know, he was uncooperative. He wasn't listening to my commands. He was very agitated. Just keep your hands out where I can see him. Hey! Let me... That's playing. Just keep your hands where I can see them. Let me see your hands. Stay in the car. Let me see your other hands. During the time, I couldn't see his hands. He was moving them out. We found out later he's probably eating dope.
So this is a very important piece of material that the country was denied access to while Black Lives Matter wrecked our country. And what were police doing when they were wrecking the country?
We were ordered not to do anything, waiting to be told what not to do next.
Did you ever feel like there was a plan?
I am reaching to the command post over and over again about what's our plan, without any response whatsoever.
They're not saying anything at all?
No, nothing.
Command post, you copy? Command, can you advise?
The elections were coming up. Everything's politically driven. They were going to use this incident for a political narrative, and they did.
Remember, this was an election year, and the media couldn't critique young voters. They needed them fully engaged in a righteous cause.
That it has been entirely peaceful, sometimes angry, but entirely peaceful. So there is some of that. But for the most part, they have been very, very peaceful.
Protest is a critical part of democracy. We cannot let protesters be likened to criminals.
But most damning are Collins's interviews with police officers who claim that the knee to the neck tactic, they call it maximum restraint technique, MRT, was something they were trained to do.
Were you trained in MRT, the maximal restraint technique?
Yes.
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 Yes, I was.
Yes, we all were.
Yes, all the police officers were trained in the MRT.
Your police chief said on the stand that he didn't recognize that technique.
Mm-hmm. I heard him say that. It's tough to hear people lie, just straight lie.
So these officers are accusing the Minneapolis police chief of committing perjury during the George Floyd trial. The officers feel they were sacrificed for politics.
everything changed. And it didn't have to, had we had strong leadership right from the very top. The governor, the mayor, our chief of police, city council of Minneapolis, the assistant chief, and the deputy chiefs. This is how you treat your people. You just turn your back.
All right. So as you heard them say, right? Now again, could it have been a coincidence that George Floyd had fentanyl, methamphetamines in him, had a little alcohol in him? Again, it was Memorial Day. They could have been getting a party on. They could have been getting it on, right? But that whole story was predicated on the fact that the one part that they all skipped, didn't it start about a fake $20 bill, supposedly, that never had been proven whether it was a fake $20 bill or not? And so it went from a fake $20 bill to police accosting him. Then it turned in from that to we end up what we saw. Then they want to say now that in 2019, an incident had happened prior before then, identical to the same one that happened. And you heard him say, oh, he was eating dope. Now, whether you did this or you know people who do this or you know that this is what they do. Let's say you're driving in a vehicle. Somebody got some work on them, got a couple rocks on them. Maybe they got a quarter bag of, we talking about before legalization of marijuana. Got a dime bag, $20 bag. And the police, they know for to pull them over. Some people put that in their mouth, right? That's something that people, they put that in their mouth to keep it so they don't get caught with it. So it's possible that can happen. That he wasn't high at the time when you claim that maybe when he swallowed it, maybe afterwards of the ordeal, maybe it went into effect. It's possible. I'm gonna give all angles, and I'm not gonna say what didn't, what couldn't, didn't happen. But to now try to say that the training, right? The training, okay, you know damn well based on the magnitude of that case and how what ended up happening, y'all said, well, they allow y'all, wait a minute, what was y'all gonna do? People reacted based on what they saw. So all they can do is, if y'all went out there, what y'all gonna do? Shoot back, kill? So no, stand down. You know, it's kind of like when they get that call and somebody supposed to be, let's say, irate and yelling and screaming, you know, like a child. Sometimes a child is, you know, want to scream and cry and shit. Let their ass scream and cry. They don't tire themselves out. You ain't in no rush, right? But they be so quick to just apprehend and, you know, rough you up, cuff you up, right? Instead of just letting you just vent out. Sometimes vent and let them get all that out. So that's what they did. It wasn't the fact that they let it happen because, no, hey, you gotta let them vent out. It's too many of them. It's gonna get even worse if we try to do something to be combative and try to resist it, because the optics of it didn't look good. There was no defense for that. And it's funny how people don't even, you know, yes, you in the uniform, yes, you know, the code and all that. We get that. But under that circumstance, what was seen, they lucky this place didn't go all the way up. They lucky. And that's what scared the shit out the system. That wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't no plan. That was natural. And so they wanted them to take their side and to admit that they trained. They wasn't going to do that. There was no way the system was going to sit there and say they trained y'all to do that. So, yeah, you became expendable. So that's how it is. That's the name of the game, right? You became expendable. And so Now your defense is, well, if you didn't train me to do that, I wouldn't have done that. Okay. They trained you. They showed you how to subdue, restrain somebody in prone positions. Where they call it, I think they call it like a hobble. They call it hobble, and I think it was another name they gave. It was like hobble and something else. But okay, now the training tells you how to put a person in there. You have to regulate how much when is when. You get what I'm saying? There's the part of your accountability where when you hold somebody ass in a chokehold and you see a person and the way they respond and they acting, it's up to you to be like, nah, all right, that's too much. I'm hurting this motherfucker. But if you can't regulate that, then there's something wrong with you. Huh? Do I need to say that again? When you can't regulate how much torque you putting on somebody, you can't blame training for that. That's on you. You didn't know when to stop. You understand? So it's like people, like some people just act like they don't. It's like common sense ain't there. You don't get to do some shit like that and act like, well, the training did that. No. You know, when y'all be handling police dogs, you train their ass to listen. But once their ass get into the heat of it and get their adrenaline going and start the biting, you didn't train them to do all that, but they do it any damn way because it's in the heat of the battle and they can't control themselves. That's an animal. Matter of fact, I seen a video where a dog was with a kitten and they were going up the stairs and the kitten was slow. So the dog rammed the little kitten up against the wall and put the kitten in his mouth and took him up the stairs. But guess what? The dog used enough grab of a hold from his mouth so they didn't hurt the kitten, but enough to hold him so he could take him up the stairs. If a dog know that how much not to put on, what would make a damn man not know how much torque you don't need to be putting in somebody's ass? And 9 minutes? You can't play dumb. You can't act like that didn't happen. You can't say the system. But here y'all trying to use that shit. And you try to get all the officers to be in line with you. Yes, they trained y'all. Yes. But there's a part of the training that it becomes your accountability to what you're doing. And that's the part where they say there's no defense. You know what I'm saying? There's no defense for that shit. Now, this woman here decided, this Liz Collins, who was making this documentary and saying that she want to bring about 2019 and the whole situation to say that he been doing this. Okay. Even if he had past acts, what they had to do with that act? That's what that irks me. Everybody want to put people past stuff on something that's happened presently and try to avoid the fact that what's dealing with at hand. The situation at hand that was being dealt with is the issue. Now, could there be the possibility that the crossroads of him, let's say if he was swallowing the fentanyl, and by y'all having him held down, and the time y'all had him out there, and the reaction of all that, and you doing what you're doing, and he's still of the combination of both. You don't get to put it on the drugs, do you? You don't get to get away and say, well, yeah, even though I was on their neck and holding them, but he died of the. You don't get to say that because it wasn't that. Because if the autopsy said on the autopsy person says, you know what, with that kind of fentanyl in your system and that methamphetamine in your system, if we'd have found him at home with no other, he'd have been considered OD. But obviously, he was high functioning. Yes, he was able to be in his vehicle, go to the store, got his friends with him. He was dancing in the store and all that. But it wasn't until all that being on the neck and all that stuff, and then him dead, then you would say, oh, he had all that in his system. You can't use that. If somebody under that would be OD, Have y'all ever seen them videos of people that's over in Philadelphia and they out there all zoinked out on that meth? Motherfucker can't move. Motherfucker ain't mobile like that. What y'all talking about? There's no mobility and no all. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Some people, man, y'all try to make, bullshit like, like people just stupid as all get out. And it's not really that, it's just that's what it is. Now, this woman that's making this documentary, you know who her husband is? This her husband right here.
Bob Kroll gave no interviews and held no press conference after announcing his intention to retire as president of the Minneapolis Police Federation at the end of the month. Kroll told us last summer he would wait until May to retire.
Do you plan on resigning?
No. What I've got from feedback from the membership is my leadership is needed.
Hold on, go back to that. Hold on, go back to that.
Lieutenant Bob Kroll gave no interviews and held no press conference after announcing his intention to retire as president of the Minneapolis Police Federation at the end of the month. Kroll told us last summer he would wait until May to retire.
Do you plan on resigning?
No. What I've got from feedback from the membership is my leadership is needed, particularly now.
But in a statement to union officers, Kroll said in part after reviewing the bigger picture, it is in my family's best interest for me to retire 4 months early.
The sad reality is that this should have happened a long time ago, and he also should have been fired.
Nikema Levy-Armstrong and many other activists in the Twin Cities saw Kroll as a symbol of what's wrong with the Minneapolis Police Department.
Bob Kroll has got to go!
Appearing on stage with President Donald Trump, offering free warrior-style training to officers after the mayor banned it, and unapologetically defending officers facing public scrutiny. Kroll was extremely popular within MPD's rank and file, elected to 3 terms by a bigger margin each time.
He has fomented a lot of negativity in a city that is already facing deep racial divides.
Protesters this summer struck piñata effigies of Kroll and his wife in front of their home in Hugo. Kroll has kept a low profile since then, offering no comment on the latest MPD shooting. He clarified to us Monday that this is just a retirement, not a resignation. And to those questioning the timing, Kroll said he was not in Washington, D.C. last week. Mayor Fry hopes the Police Federation now improves its community engagement.
I'm not naive about the barriers that will continue to exist, but we need to view this as an opportunity to get things done better. To Bob Kroll, just 2 words, which are good riddance.
Federation Vice President Cheryl Schmidt, who's taking over for Kroll, will have the job at least until May 2022. Back to you. Lieutenant Bob Kroll.
Right. Okay, so that's her husband. So that's where she's be able to get that information about George Floyd in 2019 because her husband was a lieutenant in the department. And she worked for the news. You understand? So they got information. And so they said, now again, he was the one training for that MRT, right? So that's kind of his business. So you see, they're, I don't know if that's conflict of interest or they got a interest, but that's where that's coming from with her. Now, the whole thing is the training in itself and how they were doing it, and just, I mean, the accountability has to be on the individual when you don't know when enough is enough. You understand that you have to be able to regulate that. Even training will tell you how to do certain things, and it's called improvise. It's like you get a manual how to do some shit, and then there's some things that happen that the manual don't happen. You got to learn how to improvise. If you can't improvise to know how to regulate, you know what I'm saying, then you got to be held accountable. You can't come back and say the system train me and do this. And look, all the officers agree they want it. Of course, they're gonna not admit that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's funny, right? Now, the thing is, why they keep conjuring up George Floyd and why they keep trying to get, to erase what took place and try to make it more of that what really happened didn't happen. There's a reason for that, y'all. There's a reason for that. Because, see, they talk about how, the disruption and all the chaos and protesting, and then they associate BLM to this, and the birth of BLM and how it grew and all that is because of this situation. And they saying this ain't even real. It didn't really manifest that way. He was a drug addict, a bad person. He done had women that held at gunpoint. And I think what really hurts the most is they say, well, you're trying to make a martyr out of him. And you remember how they talk about all his background. And it's like, see, when the Most High choose somebody, it ain't the way you look at them. He was chosen for that. And you don't get to choose who the Most High choose for a situation because, again, as I said in my other show, if that's May 25th, 2020 doesn't happen, where will we be right now, today? Under the liquid blanket 19 and all that prohibit and taking, you got to get to go back, keep masks on. What would have had happen, y'all? Right? Think about that. That's why you heard Jesse Watters at the end of the unofficial break of the quarantine. Yeah. Something bigger, because everything that we see manifesting now, when we talk about migrants, all that would have came in and we wouldn't have seen none of that shit. Think about it. We'd have been locked in these damn houses. All the kind of communication would be like we're doing, kind of like we're doing now. And all that other shit that had been happening would have just been coming right up under the radar and we wouldn't have noticed nothing. We would have not known nothing. So they're mad at this unusual martyr, that the criteria of what a martyr in their eyes is, he don't fit. They say he was a drug user, he was a felon, all the things that he doesn't fit the profile of what a martyr is. And that's why they're trying their best to try to say, you guys are trying to martyrize this guy's no damn good. From your perspective. But that which chose for a reason. Okay? And matter of fact, that situation in itself went global, right? Went global. Matter of fact, it keep holding you to show that when they say, okay, look, y'all can do nothing. You claim you wanted reform. You claim you was wanting to make change. But look at it, y'all. Look what y'all see on your screen. What you see on your screen there? All that they talk, all that they said, and when it came down to it, you ain't did nothing. HR 7120, George Floyd Justice Policing Act of 2020. Republican Bass Karen introduced it June 8, 2020. Right? What do you see? Introduced and only passed by the House. That's it. No more. Ain't done nothing. It's been sitting for the last, 3 years? See? No everyone, no responsibility, no accountability, none of that. Right? And you have to say, why is that? Why I can't do that, right? Well, let me show y'all something here, right? Let me show you something. You see this here? The United Nations experts urge officials to confront institutional racism after first United States fact-finding visit since murder of George Floyd. Let me say that one more again. United Nations experts urge officials to confront institutional racism after first United States fact-finding visit since murder of George Floyd. You know what ended up happening, y'all? This shit had went global, right? This shit became an international affair. The shit got on the UN, right? By humanity. Went to the World Court. It tarnished this reputation that these people try to make themselves like they shit don't stink and they don't do no wrong. But they go around pointing their finger at everybody else. Remember what happened in Gaza? Remember when you heard them talking about George Floyd? We George Floyd. Huh? You getting it? Huh? See, they end up coming here. They talk to a lot of the people about issues. The UN, they came in with their fact finding, building that case up. But there's something else that goes with that, is because internationally you don't have that clean slate that you have. And yet you talk about, you telling other people about humanity, human rights. So they are trying to get you to believe that those stuff that happen. I seen them trying to erase another story. Again, before I came on, that's what made me late tonight. I was watching something. They're changing the history of that. And they're working hard to try to change this, because why? This is international. Matter of fact, it happened to the fact that, did y'all know? Let me show you this. Did you know that the U.S. withdrew from the UN Humanitarian Rights Council? You know, they had got out of there, right? They got out of there in 2018 when the council was voting on Palestine they were voting on to supporting Palestine to go against Israel for its unhumanitarian issues that it was having then. And the United States pulled out of the UN, pulled out of the UN and out of the International World Court. Okay? Because they're supporting somebody who they said they are trying to, and they try to say the reason why they got out is because they feel like they anti-Israel, right? So when George Floyd happened, which in 2020, the United States wasn't in the UN. And they're not in the charter, I think it's called the Roman Statute. They're not under that either for the World War. So they don't have. Hold on. They want me out, y'all. They kicked me out. They want me out. Okay. I guess I said too much, right? I don't talk too much. Yeah, I'm the most hated show on the Black Corner YouTube, right? We just do the reports. We just connect the dots. That's all we do. That's what we do over here. If you like what we do over here, we appreciate all contributions, like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Again, we try to come on. We try to do Sundays, but when we don't do Sunday, we do Mondays, right? We only did this Wednesday because we couldn't do it on Monday due to the simple fact that Sunday they cut my lights off. I had to fight through all that till Monday, late Monday, so I couldn't get that done. So again, if you're willing to do that, we appreciate that, because you won't get it nowhere else. I don't hear it. Everybody protecting their channel. I've been doing it too long. Ain't been nowhere. So, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So the UN, they pulled out the UN. So now this is something that we, Tachilus Ditches, DG Morris, need to understand this. There is no jurisdiction for nobody outside when you're looking for somebody to say, you know, taking things. I be hearing some of our people talking about, you know, World Court and the United Nations and all that. This nation is not in neither or. Okay? They're not in neither or. And with the tainting of with George Floyd, see, the other nations say, okay, you send there pointing a finger at us. Well, what about yours? Matter of fact, if you remember the show I did, those who have been watching, remember when I showed you that when Joe Biden first got in and when they went up there to, I think it was Alaska, they had that meeting and China and the United States got at it. What did China say? When the United States was telling China that they said, hey, your human rights issues over there, they said, well, what are you killing black people? Yes, they did say that. Yes, they did. And I showed you what they said, right? So I'm just saying, yeah, George Floyd has marred the reputation for that clean slate that they went across the world. That's why I hate, and they say Black Lives Matter. But see, all that associated, but that go back to Mike Brown. Well, it didn't start with George Floyd. It started with really Mike Brown. I guess you can also say Tamir Rice in a sense too, right? But really with Mike Brown, right? So what George Floyd did, it just went global, right? And so it put him on the international market of saying that, you know, yeah, it is perfect as you try to claim and what you selling. And so it allowed people to see from the outside what's really going on in here. So here they is, everybody else is subjugated to certain things, but they say they're not. So they're not part of none of that. And so it's because of George Floyd that marred it. And that's why you're seeing so much of that being brought up and trying to rechange that and say that that wasn't real because, you know, it's to say that the things that had been happening here is more of a figure of our imagination and just embellishing those stories and it really didn't happen that way. But that's a hard one to get rid of because that visual of what we've seen and what took place. So, you know, so it's 3:20, went longer than I should have, talked long enough. Appreciate all y'all being here tonight, you know. But before I get out of here, I'm gonna let you hear this here as we go out. Again, if you like this show here, come back again either Sunday, and if I'm not here on Sunday, definitely be on Monday. That's it, and nothing else is happening, right? So yeah, I'm shooting for Sunday again this Sunday. So again, listen to this as we go out. I appreciate each and every one of y'all who stayed to the end. Check this out as we get out.
Force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. The idea of one race, the human race, is an idea whose time has come. We are not going to be able to stop it no matter what they do. They can elect Trump after Trump after Trump, and that will not stop the idea that there's only one race on the face of the earth. It's the human race, and we are all members of it. You and I are cousins. Now, if you don't like being my cousin, that's too bad for you. But we are all in the same family. We are members of the family of man.
You say that all whites are racist. Can you expound on that, please?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made all, and everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority. The myth of race has to be maintained at all costs in this country. Because if white people have to give up the color of their skin as being something that makes them perfect, what do they have left? If we start teaching the truth about history, if we start teaching about Nile Valley contributions to civilization, it will totally change the way we conduct ourselves in the classroom. It will have to. Columbus didn't discover America. You can't discover a place where people are already living. But we celebrate that every October. It's a lie. We need to get over, we need to stop telling the myths and start telling the truth.
Most people will say, I'm not racist.
I'm not a racist. Why, some of my best friends are black.
Right.
Yeah, and then you say, name one. Or this one, I don't see color. And when some woman says to me, I don't see color, I say, I knew that. If you saw color, you wouldn't dye your hair that way. Or I say, if you saw color, you wouldn't wear that shirt with those pants. I believe that you don't see color. It's an attempt to deny skin color. And it's an attempt to deny what's wrong with seeing the color of my skin. Is it all right for you to see me kind of pink? That's okay for me. I don't mind, and I suspect that you don't mind being seen the color you are. You have a right to be what you are. And until people in this country and people in this world get it into their heads that the first modern human beings that evolved on this earth were black women. They evolved in sub-Saharan Africa about 280,000 years ago, and every human being on the face of the earth today has the memory of those black women's genetic structure in their genes. Now, we don't want to admit that, but that's the way it is. And as people moved farther and farther from the equator, their bodies produced less and less melanin, so their hair, their skin, and their eyes got lighter. As they moved into the east, they ate a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables, so their skin took on a different tone. I found that out when I was raising little kids. My husband worked in a supermarket. He was the head of the produce department, and they had lots of oranges that they couldn't sell till he'd bring them home, and I was feeding my kids orange juice like you never saw in your life. They began to have an orange cast to their skin. I thought they had a liver problem. So I took him to the doctor, and she said, "What are you feeding these kids?" I said, "Well, lots of orange juice." She said, "Stop it if you want them to stop being orange." Now, if you think that skin color isn't anything other than the body's natural reaction to the natural environment, get over it.
If all white people are racist, according to you, can they be reprogrammed?
Of course they can. Of course they can. Of course they can be. It's called education. I'm an educator. The word educator comes from the root duc dus, which means lead, the prefix e, which means out, the suffix ate, which means the act of, and the suffix or, which means one who does. An educator is one who is engaged in the act of leading people out of ignorance. Now, I know you can change them. The second year I did the blue-eyed, brown-eyed exercise in my classroom, it was filmed by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. They gave me a copy of that film. I showed it to my father. My father was about 59 years old at the time. He's been a farmer all his life. He raised six kids, lost one, raised six. Watched that film as a 59-year-old man. When it was over, he stood up, and with tears in his eyes, he took his red handkerchief out of the back pocket of his overalls, his bib overalls, and said, "I wish somebody had taught me that when I was 9 years old." Nobody had dare say to me, "This doesn't work. This is too harsh. This isn't necessary. You can't teach an old dog new tricks because they're wrong." You can teach an old dog new tricks. You can teach people to give up the myth of racism. Somebody taught the Greeks to give up the myth that the sun was a god in a golden chariot that went across the sky every morning. They believed that for hundreds of years. We have believed the myth of 3 or 4 races, different races in this country, for long enough. There's no such thing as reverse racism. You can only be a racist if you have the power to institutionalize what you're doing to people who are different from you. What we're calling reverse racism is natural reaction to being treated unfairly on the basis of somebody else's ignorance. Now, don't ever let anybody say to you or about anyone around you that people don't like that person because of the color of their skin. That isn't the reason white people don't like people of color. They don't like people of color because they don't understand about skin color. And they don't understand.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.